I think that and lastly here, I think, your feelings are valid for this betrayal, because it is a betrayal, like, oh, you have gone under this thing where you're doing this assumption, oh, we've been hanging out with
tough
yada, yada.
titties.
However, big words here. He's absolutely correct. Tough titties, you know what assumptions do? They make asses out of you and me, and guess what? She gave up that ass to somebody else because you were
Okay, wait, one more question then.
Real
One
quick,
more question. Wait, hold on.
Real quick. Admiral Gibbs and Corey, if you could let me know what you believe is the most comfortable cuck chair by hotel, I would appreciate that. Like,
I will. It's whatever chair you're sitting in while I smash your next girlfriend. Whatever chair you're sitting in when I smash your next girlfriend. That's the chair.
Okay, so I got a super chat. So I got a super chat. It's from my main man Doobie, $10. He says, "Ask Lactoid about the coochie spreadsheet." If you could.
We're not going into that. No. We're not going.
I see your face got red. I need to know right now.
That's a different conversation.
Wait a minute. Do you have
no.
Of like the different women, their attributes, or it's like to sleep with them, like the characteristics of their vaginas?
Are you Dennis? Are you Dennis from Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
He's got the Dennis system, bro.
You're Dennis from Always Sunny. You know what, Lactoid? That's fitting. That's fitting.
He doesn't have a black.
You have a coochie spreadsheet. Your face got red.
Dennis,
okay.
I just like to keep things organized. Okay,
all
right. Dennis is also
actually, I'm not sure if there's anything wrong with that. I'm gonna put out.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just funny.
Thank you, Prime.
There's nothing wrong. It's just hilarious.
I like to keep things organized. Can I ask Gibbs a question though? This is relevant.
Sure.
Oh yeah,
Gibbs. What is your let's say you say tough titties. Okay. Let's say after a year.
Good.
You said 2 years. So after a year, you find out the person is trans. Know it. Like just get good. You got had.
Yep.
I would say, Dan, you got very good plastic surgery that I couldn't tell for over a year having sex. I'm confused now. I guess I thought I was straight. I still think I'm straight. I guess your surgeons did really good. What's their name and info so I can recommend them to some people?
What about STDs? What about STDs? Let's say like after like 4 months, you find out that like you have herpes now. Or like some kind of incurable, relatively.
You didn't ask specifically if they had herpes beforehand, right? You know.
Well,
you didn't ask.
This is how I know that you're not sexually active because I go get blood tested once a month, and you find that shit out quick. So then you go, oh God, I got tested. I caught this. Who have I had sex with in the last month? And then you call them up. You go, hey, I caught this. So you gave it to me, you motherfucker.
Go to the spreadsheet.
And then tough titties though, because there's nothing there. Who cares? Like they gave it to you. I guess that sucks.
Well, sociologically, there's this cool thing called making money, and then you get insurance, and that pays for the pills that handle that. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Christ. I mean, listen. Once again, I operate in the world that Corey is kind of like describing. Right. I understand that the world is nuts, and that you should probably have a little bit more conversation with the person that with people that you're going to be sexually active with. Right. So, Corey, I agree with you in practice. Right. In practice, I do agree with you. I don't agree with you in I don't think it's that's how we should prescribe society to be, right? I think we should have like normal expectations. I think we should set up on like a normal expectation like standard, right? There should be a standard that like we know that most people operate within, and if you don't want to operate within that standard, you kind of should make it clear. Because Because me and you are probably like a bit more like people that are doing these panels and having discussions are a bit more introspective, right? We're gonna think about like our actions. We're trying to defend them, right? We're trying to defend our ideas and our thoughts. The average person's just kind of fucking walking around being a dumbass, not knowing what's going on. And so like my prescription can't be, well, hey, you should really sit and think about what you want to do. Although like I think that's the right thing. I don't know if anyone's going to do it. I would kind of like to just establish some type of boundaries and norms for people that the normies can fucking just live without emotional turmoil, man.
It's called having conversations.
Exactly. And that's the adult thing to do. You can have any sort of expectations that you want. Okay, you have every right to do that. But then don't be surprised if life doesn't fit your expectations. If you don't take into account and look out for your own interests. And again, no judgment on any of the people around Gibbs. I haven't used any specific language about the people around you, but Gibbs has been very clear in terms of the type of people that he goes after. And it's to the fact that, okay, from what I understand, I don't know if it's actually true or not, he has to encase certain things in his house so that they're not breakable, given the fact of the particular women that he chooses. And that is on him, as in, given the fact that he makes those choices, and therefore he has those expectations. As a result of his choices, he has to be accountable for that. And it's baked into his life of like, well, I now need to put my degrees in bulletproof casing because I go after the...
But then there's people who operate in normal... Wait.
Let me finish my point. If you don't want to vet the people that you sleep with, then it's on you that they don't tell you that they're not pregnant. It's on you that they don't tell you that they got an abortion, okay? If you don't want to look out for your own interest and you want to assume, that is on you.
Wait, I agree. I agree with you to an extent. Gibbs selects for the type of people that he's with, so then Gibbs prepares for the expectations that come with the people that he operates within, right?
Amen.
But when you're a normal person operating in normal society, so like in the context of the show, these people were not like two extremes of anything. They seem to be representative of like just normal people, right? If you're operating with someone and you seem to be operating on the same level, but then they do something out of the extreme, that expectation is fair to have that person because they're operating within the same realm that you are until they do this one askew thing. And this one askew thing is not something that you necessarily expect out of somebody, right? Especially if you have an assumption of who they are because of the time that you've spent, because of the time you've spent in the relationship you've built. So like they're operating within their own realms and within their own norms. So they are preparing for what they assume they should prepare for in their context.
Gibbs eloquently said it. If you assume, okay, that is on you, and at least to certain outcomes. Okay, as much as I disagree with Gibbs on many things, like, he is correct here.
I think you should.
Only you as a person know your red flags. Only you know what you can live with. If you don't look out for that,
hold on. I agree with you. But then you say, oh, a woman can get pregnant and then like not even tell you, and then just like take the baby and like raise them like completely in secret, and that's like a-okay. Like that's a weird. I'm sorry, like it's a weird expectation.
I'm not saying it's a-okay. To me, that
no, you did say she's
you
like
did.
Not
you said it was fine. You said there's nothing wrong with it.
Then I'll do I view that as, let's say, a moral transgression in terms of they never had any sort of conversation? That I don't view it as a moral transgression. Just like I said, I agree the person is awful.
That's wild.
But that's not a moral transgression. I made that distinction.
That's wild. Of course it's a moral transgression.
Did we define what moral transgression was again? I may have forgotten or missed it. Did we moral transgression is just like morally bad?
I mean, honestly, if we really want to get down to it, the most moral thing would be to have sex with as many people as possible and have as many kids as possible. That would be the most moral thing because we're humans, and as a human, we're an animal, and our job is to procreate and continue our lineage. So those of you that are having sex, bad lactoid.
What did you say?
Not moral.
So I was saying that like
immoral.
A moral transgression implies that you have done something immoral. Right, but that immorality has affected or gone on to another moral agent or actor, right? So assuming that we're like let's set animals aside as like moral actors and not get into weird dog fucking scenarios type shit. Like what we mean is right, like you've done something immoral that has affected later on another person, right? So from like a libertarian perspective, right, if someone lies about getting an abortion or something of that nature, it could potentially be fraud in a certain aspect. But if they do a lie of omission, right, it's not necessarily a violation of the non-aggression principle, right? It doesn't justify me harming them in return. But I could still say that it is immoral, and I could still say that it's a moral transgression. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm justified in like some just compensation, et cetera, right? Because like, the concept of an implicit contract is vague and somewhat invalid in terms of whether or not you can then kind of respond to a failed contract. But when we're talking about moral evaluation of something, right, we can look at it from multiple domains. Like I'm essentially an anarcho-objectivist, right? So looking at it from an objectivist framework, we would want individuals to act in their own rational self-interest, and they may be, if there's some fear or some like threat of coercion from me or something like that, then maybe they're justified in that means of like keeping things from me. But if I'm engaged in a relationship with someone and there's an element of fraud to it, even though it's kind of like a gray area, right? then we're definitely dealing with a big moral evil. So like in Atlas Shrugged, for example, you know, Taggart is his sister is the one that is actually keeping the railroad company afloat, and a young girl thinks that it's actually the CEO, the brother, and he lets her believe the entire time that he's actually the vision behind the railroad doing well, as opposed to Dagny Taggart. And eventually she learns throughout her marriage and gains some rational thought and realizes that he's not the person that she thought she was, and it destroys her entire worldview. She runs out into the street and she commits suicide. Right now, he's not directly responsible for the suicide in first order consequences. It's not necessarily justified to kill him. We can definitely say that what he has done by omitting information and letting her believe that he is somebody that he isn't, that he has frauded her. He is, you can even take a Kantian perspective if you don't want to look at it in an objectivist perspective, right? Never treat like the categorical imperative, right? You're denying a human being the information to actually be able to act in a rational way because they believe you're type A person when really you're type B person. And so I think there's something to be said about corollaries, right? And so you shouldn't have to ask a woman if she's pro-life or not if you ask a woman if she's Muslim, because let's assume you're Muslim. If you ask someone if she's Muslim and then I'm Muslim, that would imply a set of world beliefs around that. And so if she has these differing opinions around abortion or around sex with other people or modesty, and she's wearing a hijab, let's say, right, and then you find out she got gangbanged by some other people, it's like, you shouldn't have to have a contract with this person that says we are exclusive and you are pro-life and you are these things, because she led you astray. She let you believe that she was someone that she wasn't when you said, hey, I'm looking for a Muslim girl. That's what I want. My family wants. Those are the values that I have, etc. And that should be like an encompassing thing, right? And so implied consent in relationships and interpersonal relationships is going to be a gray area, and people are going to interpret those things differently. And that's why it doesn't meet the level of justification of like violation of the non-aggression principle. But there's certainly in those gray areas, we can have moral condemnation and discussions about why that's immoral to engage in obfuscating reality and keeping people in the dark about what type of person you are when all the signs are there that they don't like that.
So let's move on from this conversation. I think that we've like mined it. It'd be great if we had some women here. I would love to have known there. I did invite women, but
Gibbs literally has a woman there that we could.
Yeah, but she would agree with me.
She's gonna disagree with you on everything, Lactose. I don't know if you want to bring her in.
Yeah, she disagrees with me.
Because then I won't be too mean to her, then I can ask her some questions. Okay?
I gotta be honest. I don't know that we want the Destiny Rose Lactoid combo. That would be Lactoid getting roasted for most of it. I feel like he would be able to like outsmart her, and then she would just cook him as Latina can. Only Latinas can. It's very impressive. They have this talent to like cut you down to your wick, your bone. They'll get you.
They are vicious.
So let's move on. I would like to have this guy, if we can get some women on. Yeah, I would like to have this conversation again to see what they have to say, and like what like should and shouldn't be told. I think in our society is that a lot of these deal breakers, I think you guys are going to disagree with me, but a lot of these deal breakers I think land on women in a way they don't land on men. That there are some things that a man can do that are objectionable, right? And make them undateable or whatever. But like for the most part, these things tend to land on women. The emphasis tends to be on them, right? Their sexual history, their
they should raise their standards then to meet ours.
Wait, hold on. You think it's easier? You think it's easier to date as a man than a woman?
I think he's saying the standards. He's like the standards seem to be more imposed on like women than there are like standards that are on men. Like what is like really a standard for men? Be like make a little bit of money, be
money,
relatively strong,
money, height.
But for women, it's like personal. It's like personal choices, right? Like we don't really get judged on like the personal choices that we make, how many women we sleep with, like the type of attitude we have, being cavalier, so on and so forth. Women seem to get judged on like their past, their partners, so on, and that's what he's saying.
They judge you on how few people you have sex with.
That's hilarious.
We judge you. We're like, oh,
that's what he's. That's why I was like,
no. That's what I
necessarily agree, but yeah.
It's especially when we're talking about like personal choices. Like, now I'm not saying it's easier to date. I think it depends on what you mean as like easier, right? Because that does a lot of work, right? Is it easier?
I too took a gender studies, women's studies class.
Okay, all right, calm down. If it means like, hey, can I like get people to go out on a first date with me? Well, then women have it easier, like without a doubt, right? But is it like
land an actual relationship
within the context of a relationship and of the context of like sexual mores, right? Like in that realm, it's a much harder when you're a woman, I think. But like
women are sexual selectors and men are relationship selectors. I mean, that's kind of that's the gripe, right? Is that women are like, hey, we can get guys to fuck us, but we can't get guys to like actually want to like date us or marry us because they're too busy trying to just fuck. And then guys are like, hey, we can't get girls to fuck us because like
red pill takes now. we're going to like 4chan beginnings of red pill at this point. Like,
okay,
well, the lock and a key are different. All right.
And I'd also like at some point to like revisit the whole sleeping around. Like I would actually. Okay, so we'll have to make it a separate conversation because that comment about the 15 men I actually want to engage with. But some other time.
But keep in mind this way: like women can just hide that from you and just lie to you.
Oh no!
But when it comes to your income, right? Can't really hide that.
You absolutely can.
Of course you can. Yeah,
for a little bit
in a relationship.
For like a little bit.
But they have access to your bank accounts. Wait.
All right, guys.
So women check your like stock holdings.
This is where
your ability to
purchase
or provide anything, right? Like if you don't have a good car, you can rent one for a week or a day or whatever it may be. But you're not gonna be. You're not gonna be.
He's like,
this is what I'm saying.
Here's my checklist. Here's my
of a relationship.
But actually,
here's my checklist. Here's stock portfolio.
Scott, we don't talk enough shit on the.
We're gonna have at some point we'll get into that.
So
it's going to be kind of a back and forth about the effectiveness of
I think you can.
You'll get no argument
Trump's
here.
response to the riots and that sort of thing.
To lie,
and this is just like a preamble, just BSing
I think there's lots of ways around
that we're going through right now.
Not for a prolonged period of time, right? It's going to be for like a short period of time that you can lie about how much money you have.
They use Discord for the sound, and
if you're with someone,
video.
But you could also
everybody's muted on StreamYard,
extremely
but you can still hear us because
like I have money, but like
sound comes from Discord.
Yeah, but that's not what the argument. The argument would be that like you're acting like you have more money, which means that you're kind of showing it. Right? If someone's frugal, but then they're lying and they say like there are people the extreme cheapskates like that you've seen on like TLC or whatever it may be, which is like that's someone who's broke but is also living like that. It's not like typical that someone's going to be like rich, boast that they have money, but then live like this. I don't know what the appeal would be dating that person as like.
I don't know about necessarily the boasting part. But boasting is adding too much, right? Like you can simply say I am up a certain tax bracket, right? But then you don't prove it, like because you're saying I am frugal.
I think what Lactoid and
but you can lie about income.
Wait. I think when we're saying lie about income, we're saying the person who's putting on the perception that they have a lot of money and they don't actually have a lot of money. Sure, you can be rich and lie and say like, well, you're frugal and so on and so forth. But the idea is that like there are people who go down to Miami, rent a Lamborghini for the week, right?
I know what you're saying.
They take the pictures and then like that's the lifestyle they portray that they have. You can sustain that for like a week, a few days, but like eventually if you're in a relationship with someone, you're not going to be able to lie about that.
No. I hear that, but I'm saying no. I'm responding to the base statement that you can't keep it up.
Let me rephrase. Let me rephrase this.
I think the implication was the lifestyle one that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Prime,
like you cannot.
You should deport the next person that tries to continue this topic.
I like that idea.
You can perhaps misrepresent like your exact income, but you're going to be like within a certain bracket that you're not going to be able to misrepresent. Meanwhile, you can just say like, oh yeah, I've only had one partner when you slept with like 80,000, not 8,000, but like 80, 90 people, right?
Okay, sure. All right.
It's easier.
That's the new average is 80, 90 people.
Okay.
That's the next norm that Gibbs is going to want.
If they're doing the twist and swirl, they probably have to bid with more than one person. All I'm saying.
The twist and okay. All right. Okay.
Next topic, please.
We will move on. Hey, everybody. If you enjoyed that conversation, hello, hi. This is Reverie Roundtable, which we have Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern. We got a great group of guests here, and excited to talk about the real topic. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But if you've enjoyed that, consider supporting the channel, subs to the channel, give bits or give subs. We definitely could use your help. So consider doing that. Subs to the channel, give bits or give subs. Also to the follow button. You're not so yet, right? If you just stopped in here, this is a lot of fun for you. We definitely wasn't planned to talk about slut shaming. But here we are. And I guess it's not too surprising this group of guys that we would start that. If
Tectone.
Use your Amazon Prime, says Prime Gaming. If you have one, right, use that here. Support the channel, free for you. It does a lot for us. Use that here. Support this community. We do need your support. So if you're out there, help us out. Super chats. We're out there, super chats. Like our friend Duba gave a super chat earlier. We'll read your super chat. It'll be great. Maybe it'll cause us to laugh. Maybe it'll cause us to gasp in horror as we dig down into the farthest reaches of Lacto's persona. But consider supporting the channel one or the other in however way you like. Okay. So let's get to the topic. All right. The topic is, over the weekend, demonstrations broke out in multiple cities against Trump's immigrant mass deportation policies. At least I think it was multiple cities. Actually, I'm not sure anymore. I thought it was, but maybe it's just the one. In response to the large-scale protests, Trump deployed the National Guard in Los Angeles. This was quickly decried by Democratic politicians, such as California Governor Gavin Newsom, as an unnecessary escalation on the government's part. Clashes between the protesters and the security forces have, in some cases, turned violent. Do you think deployed federal troops are necessary? This move was also condemned years ago during Trump's first presidency as the BLM protests were happening. Was such a move called for then? When should the Fed step in to quote-unquote maintain order? Do you think, in general, that the government should take a hands-off approach until the situation actually gets dangerous? Or should a police step in beforehand to ensure we never get to that point? Biggest story right now is the situation in LA, where it was started off because there was rumored ICE activity. And I think it's been confirmed that there was ICE activity there, that they were going to, do their Gestapo thing and raid some areas for undocumented immigrants, terrorize them. And so the community came to confront them. This we had a conflict between them and the police. Then the police declared an unlawful gathering and tried to disperse them. And then there was a lot of clash. So then after that, right, as this is going on, Trump deploys the National Guard over the objections of the governor, Gavin Newsom. He deploys the National Guard. Technically, they're just around federal buildings, right, with the orders he gave. Basically, they're just protecting federal targets. But it's been, a lot of people considering this an escalation. and unnecessarily maybe inflaming the crowd. And so people are thinking, what should we do? What should the president be able to step in? Should he do this almost unprecedented step about using the National Guard of the governor's objections? Where do you stand on all this? So we'll go around. You can do your introductions. So Lactoid.
Yeah, I'm Lactoid. You can find me at Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. As of, if I'm reading this correctly, as of like 20 minutes ago, the Marines are going to be deployed as well. 700 Marines are going to be deployed into Los Angeles to support the National Guard there. My understanding is that, and this was sort of alluded to, the National Guard and now, I guess, U.S. Marines are going to be deployed specifically to protect federal assets there. Not only the federal buildings, but also ICE agents as they conduct their job, more or less, rounding up people for deportation or further hearings. I guess where I stand on this is that writing is bad. I think it is interesting how you see the left's language on this shift back to the language that they were using before January 6th during the BLM riots. Now we're back, now that the left has their kind of riots, now we're back to the whole riots, the language of the unheard. This is like important, resisting fascism, resisting evil, etc. And I think it's bullshit, right? They're attacking innocent people, innocent property that has nothing to do with this. It's bullshit and it shouldn't happen. And I like the fact that innocent people and innocent property is being defended and protected. I would like for it to be defended by anybody who can defend it, whether it be civilians, whether it be law enforcement, whether it be the National Guard, or I guess Marines might be a little bit excessive. But I mean, if it's seriously that bad, then I'm okay with using force to protect innocent people and property. I don't like the ICE raids, just to be clear. I think that they're pretty. I'm pretty against mass deportations in general, and I'm pretty against what's happening now with ICE just going into workplaces and picking up people who are working and otherwise contributing to society and not being, gangsters or drug dealers or whatever, not being just like bad on the world, and they're just trying to, work, sell, work on roofs or sell tacos or whatever they want to do. If it's like pro-social, I mean, I'm not wrong, all right? Like this happens, and they're doing a lot of that work that I think is good. So I don't understand why we have to throw them out of the country or put in a whole bunch of money to throw them out of the country when they're not doing shit that bothers me or really any other American. Kind of dumb. Seems like a big waste of money, especially when we're talking, rightfully so, about the fact that we have this massive deficit and how we're burning through way too much money. We got to cut the budget down. We got to cut down how much we're spending. Seems like spending money throwing away productive people is probably a good place to start.
Selling tacos.
That's all they do. Ron, didn't you know?
I know multiple taco trucks, and not all of them are going to be legal.
You know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, Lactoid. That was a great take. All right, I'm not going to let them shit on your take, Lactoid. Good for you.
No. Well, Lactoid wants them. He's happy if the citizens defend property, the government defend property. Some punk kid from 2 towns over, right, coming to be able to defend a store, right? He's happy with all types coming to defend property. But shout out to you, Lactoid. Let's go to our friend.
You mean a hero kid? But go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, so I think many of the protests are an example of like how the left is sometimes accidentally based, right? Because they don't have any moral foundations for most of the things that they believe. They kind of just shift into the current vibe that's happening, right? Like, Palestine and Israel is a big deal. And then they just kind of, like that meme of Homer Simpson going to the bushes and now it's no human is illegal because this is the cool thing to do in the moment, right? I mean, they don't give a fuck. Most of these protesters don't actually give a fuck about the deportations because Obama was deporting twice as much as Trump is, right? Trump's really bad at deportations. He's not getting nowhere near as much done as Obama was. I think the Trump administration's a bit in a rock and a hard place here because there is a recognition that the next Democratic administration is likely going to push in anything they can to give citizenship to people that have been here for 5 to 10 years, right? And so the hordes of immigrants that came over, that were brought over, forced integration via, welfare and taxes and given hotels and cell phones and shipped around the country. Those people, when the next Democratic administration comes in, they're going to attempt to give them citizenship, and a majority of them are going to vote for the Democrats and even push for more progressive politics and socialism. And so, I think Republicans are rightfully scared that if you don't get rid of 20 million, immigrants, then we're going to kind of lose, the kind of the liberal democracy American kind of like, the last vestiges of what the Republicans that are, center left socialists are they're going to lose, and we're just going to get progressivism. That being said, I've said on this panel before, even before Trump was elected, right, that, mass deportations is a policy that will never work. It's way too expensive. It's not something that is feasible. And I said before, like, look, you want to go into hotels and you want to pull out, or, apartment buildings or bad neighborhoods and pull out Tren de Agua. I don't give a fuck what happens to Tren de Agua, right? They're terrorists, and, so are ICE. But you want to grab Lupita from your apartment building, who's been here for 10 years and is like not on the right paperwork, but has a job here. Number one, she doesn't really rest upon anybody intentionally. It's the state that is the aggressor by creating the welfare systems that she's used. And so it's a violation of her rights. And so, the only way to solve immigration is to get rid of the state. There is no right non-aggressive action of immigration policy. The only non-aggressive position is private borders. Open borders is a violation of our rights. Closed borders is a violation of rights. Deportation of people is a violation of rights, unless, of course, they are criminals that have done property damage. So, I think in a way, some of these, I think much of these protests, like I said, are kind of based. But it's a shit show. I think, Karen Bass is probably trying to make it more of a shit show. I think, all the Democrats are pouncing on an opportunity to say Trump is the evil fascist dictator because he's doing the same thing we supported a few years ago. I think it's hypocrisy. It's media narratives putting out something. But at the end of the day, like, do I think the state ought bring in the National Guard to protect ICE deportations of people that are nonviolent, that haven't violated anybody's rights? No. What I think they ought do is they ought fucking stop these ICE raids, only target gang members, and actually focus on shit like they promised, like Doge cuts and reducing the welfare state and reducing some of these incentives. But instead, we have the big, beautiful bill with a couple of fucking slapped on, we're not going to stop Social Security payments to states that have illegals. And it's like, yeah, sure, that's a start until you raise the fucking debt limit by another $5 trillion and fill a bill up with nothing but pork. Trump is on track to be the worst president in U.S. history when it comes to increases of taxation and when it comes to increases to the budget deficit. Like, if he doesn't fix this tariff thing around, then he will be the worst president that we've had probably since FDR. And that's the reality. And I recognize that Republicans are afraid to engage in that way because they know in 4 years it's likely a Democrat will be in charge, and everything that they got done to reduce the size and scope of the state will be reversed. But it's really the only way to actually fix this.
Ori.
Okay, I'll try to be brief, but I do want to clarify one thing with Lactoid. How big, do you have a family size of Pringles? Because you've been eating them for like 2 hours.
Yeah. They're really good. It's the hot ones. They're really spicy.
That you're only eating one tube?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's only eating like one or two every few minutes, usually.
They're thin. They're really thin.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
By the way, this is that white people definition of spicy.
Mm-hmm.
No, I eat Mexican food. This is like actual Mexican food from the trucks where none of them speak English. And I'm telling you, this is spicy.
Okay, but either way, I actually largely agree with Scott. Definitely damaging people's property, not good. And like actual protests, good, that don't destroy people's properties. And like, yes, also the ICE raids seem to be largely inefficient and generally like going after people that probably almost certainly should not be targeted, pretty much just like everything that Scott said. And just like, yeah, pretty much like a waste of money. And also, from what I gather, if I remember correctly, I think there's an explicit clip of Trump saying that, like, you should only call in the National Guard if the governor requests it, unless he's changed his position. It seems like, yes, he's actually doing, or like, yeah, he's pretty much, either he lied or he never actually meant to say that. And so he seems to be pretty much, not surprisingly, being hypocritical. I'm like, yes, this seems to be largely an escalation, maybe a distraction for other things going on, and just a waste of money. And I'll leave it there for now.
Yeah, thank you. Let's go to our friend Grid. Grid, nice to have you here.
Good to be back.
Yeah,
good to be back. Been a minute. Been traveling and whatnot. You can find me at an Unreasonable Man on YouTube, and I do cool stuff on YouTube every once in a while. So I have kind of a different take on this. First of all, as near as I can tell, and nobody's shown me anything different, the ICE raids are targeted specifically to people with existing orders of removal, past felony charges, multiple immigration violations, so on and so forth. They're not targeting a Lupita from your apartment building, trying to make fajitas down at the local taqueria. They're actually...
You're roboting.
I'm roboting?
Was that only for me? Yeah.
It's you.
I think it's only for
that
you.
was just you.
He's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're the robot.
Give me a second. I'm going to leave and...
Go ahead, Grid, I think.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So with the ICE raids targeting, people in targeted removal, I'm okay with that. That's fine. Matter of fact, every one of you said that you were okay with that type and not broadband, just go in and get whoever. So let's just, the ICE people were doing their job. A bunch of malcreants decided they don't like the job, and they start interfering with federal operations. I think Trump is correct to send in federal aid in the form of whatever he feels necessary, whether that's the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Space Force, whoever the fuck, it doesn't matter. I feel like that if we're going to, I'm actually really interested to see how all of the people who had their nuts on fire so hard over Jan 6 are now like, no, it's cool. It's cool, guys. It's cool. It's cool. They're just protesters. So this will be a great conversation, and I can't wait to get into it. You guys have some a variety of views, and I can't wait to hear them and go, give some feedback.
Okay, am I roboting you guys?
Testing.
Nope.
Okay.
He did do a weird thing there for a second. I thought it was my headphone, but
okay.
I didn't hear the first one.
Okay. Let's go to our friend Ali.
What's up, guys? I go by Sociologic. Right now, you can just find me on X. I'm on other things, but I'm working on a different name. Anyways, so the whole January 6th thing, I think the difference is going to be one was on like the building, and I forget which building it was, but like it was an actual like government building. This is against ICE, which I think the average person doesn't even know like what ICE is. I mean, to me, I feel like it's just like some dudes they rounded up that were like failed cops or failed army, and they're like, hey, do you want to do deportations? They're like, okay. So like I don't know if anyone's like gonna respect ICE in the same way they respect like a congressional building or whatever. Riots are bad, right? I don't want riots. But once again, when the average person hears mass deportations, they're not necessarily thinking that it's just going to be criminals or like gang members. They are thinking it's going to be Lupita. And so when people think that this is what you're going to like, you're going to get these riots, you're going to get protests that lead to riots. And especially when it's like mass deportations of people, I think the way that we're doing the rhetoric around this it's like, I don't know what you expect other than this, right? When people are calling for like mass deportations of people, half of the country is like, well, we voted for it. Well, the other half didn't vote for it. The other half is against it. And if the other half is against it and it's like it's in their principled beliefs, then they're going to fight against it because they believe that their country is being lost. So I just don't know what you expect out of it. And I don't believe that the ICE raids are just targeting criminals and gang members. I do believe it is just like a mass deportation effort.
And finally, our friend Gibbs.
Yeah, I think it's pretty crazy that, once again, we have the Dems making the states' rights big cotton arguments. It's like, hey, don't send the federal troops in, 1861, 2000, whatever, in 2025. It's crazy, but hey, whatever. I see this akin to when the last time we did this was when Lyndon B. Johnson sent in troops to protect the civil rights movement in a college in Alabama. I feel like this is a similar moment in history. Trump is absolutely morally justified. I actually want to call for the government to take action and charge, what's her name, Bass, with treason, because she is actually aiding and abetting foreign nationals in an invasion on our land, destroying property. It's crazy. I think she should be punished to the fullest extent of the law for treason. Maybe even consider looking into doing it to Governor Newsom. It's atrocious what they're doing. We literally have foreign nationals destroying property on our land, and then we have people like our friend Sociologic here saying things like, "Oh, hey, they're destroying their country." No, bitch. You know what? This is a cool thing. They have foreign national citizenship. This isn't their country. This is our country that they're destroying. Fuck these people. This is exactly why they got to go. It's outrageous. We can sit here. The Republicans have a problem with like Elon Musk. You know how many Teslas were keyed in that time? Not a single one. But one thing happens. We enforce the legal rule of law because they broke the law with being in this country legally. After that, everything they've done is fraudulent. So that, if they buy something, we got tax fraud. If they sit here and do something with a fake ID, that's fake identification. That's probably crime too, I believe. Every single thing. Then they're taking taxpayer dollars with social services. All of this is just crime on crime, and these people are standing up for criminals. And it's outrageous. They're destroying law-abiding systems. I bet if your name was Jones Abood and you owned a gas station in this area, you would be really excited for the National Guard to come and protect your place whenever the LAPD is running like a bunch of idiots because Karen Bass has told them to, because she's committing treason and allowing a foreign power to invade our country. It's outrageous. It's disgusting. You could say, oh, these people didn't vote for this. Yeah, you're right. They didn't vote because they're not citizens. 54% of Americans, according to a recent poll, said they approve of Trump's deportation efforts. This is part of that. We're going to sit here and go, hey, this is bad. It's bad. No, I'm sorry. We've seen what's happening in California. California is the third world. We might as well just call it goddamn Somalia. I can't tell the difference between Somalia and LA right now. They look exactly the same. It's fucking crazy. I mean, and then people are like, oh, it's no big deal. Oh, like I saw Wick this week and I challenged him on it on Twitter this week. And he's like, oh, this is just, it's so peaceful. It's such an insurrection. It's not insurrection, all these things, yada, yada. And I'm like, yeah, bro, I don't know about that. It looks pretty insurrection-like when they're taking over buildings and doing things. Like, there's a reason why Obama wanted to call in the National Guard on the Bundys. I don't remember if he did or not, because the local police were overwhelmed by these rednecks that had too many guns. Same thing when the Michigan Capitol building got taken over. These rednecks had too many guns. They're too, people for the local PD. We have the same issue now, except they're not using guns. They're using Molotov cocktails and bricks and sheer massive numbers to destroy things. They have the police. We have videos of the police hiding under fucking bridges as these people burn down the area around them. And we're going, nah, it's fine. It's fine. Mostly peaceful. It doesn't matter if it's mostly peaceful if the city is fucking burning. It's outrageous. It's disgusting. And anybody that supports this, you are supporting treason. You're supporting insurrection and the start of the Civil War. That's what this is. And it's just outrageous because literally ICE, even if it is Consuela that's just doing nothing, they're supporting the rule of law. It's a law. I got told this week that migrant alien was the proper term, and you can't use the illegal alien. And even though I'm Latino, by using the words illegal alien, I'm using internalized racism. That's what I got told this week. And I go, it's internalizing racism to say the words illegal. This is the kind of lunacy we're getting from the left. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. It's totally outrageous, and y'all sound like Big Cotton from 1861.
Yeah, just real quick, if 56% of voters wanted this, that would mean that 44% of voters didn't want this, and those were the people I'm talking about when they're going to rise and look at their country. So it is half of people, right? We're going to do a 50-50 split. There are people and if you just want to consider all of those people as treasonous, I mean, sure, but then they're going to do the same to you, and we're going to get nowhere.
We have done that. We have done that for the last 16, the last 20 years, I think, or something like that, or 12, the last 16. We've had Democratic presidents, right, except for Trump, till the one little exception. And Republicans have been sitting there going, oh, it's terrible. How many times did Republicans have fucking riots? that destroyed towns to the numbers like of LA's numbers or the BLM. Right? We've never done that. And then you'll go, January 6th. Listen, that was on one building, and it was like 200 people, and y'all rounded them up, and you tried them to the purest extent of the law. Now, y'all can argue over the pardons later, but it was a small targeted area that happened. Whether or not that's this right. These fuckers are destroying 20 billion worth of damage by some estimates in BLM. And this, who knows what this is going to be by the time it's done? Because this looks like it's just kicking off. We're barely with the first round of raids.
So have higher standards for police, right? Like, don't just hire anybody to be a police officer and just give them a gun and like the law, the order, like, hey, control the law.
Well, one last thing here.
They can't handle it, right? No, we got to get the Marines involved.
This is a crazy argument. They're saying, oh, you're the ones escalating it by sending the National Guards and Marines. You know what? If I was a business owner, I'd really want them to fucking escalate it because I looked at the LAPD running like a bunch of little scared bitches because Karen Bass is telling them to do nothing while they're burning down my business. I think, I would like them to escalate because you know what escalation really is? Them doing nothing and watching them just burn down their shit. Not everybody's got insurance, bro. You're in California. It's $1 million to buy anything. And you can just let them burn it down and say, oh, well, we didn't escalate it. It's so good the National Guard didn't go in. I bet you would like. What's your not?
I mean, honestly, it's better than Marines than rooftop
and you tell me if you want the if you why don't you give me your address and we can burn down your neighborhood
directly to my address.
I mean, I'm just saying that's what you're okay with. You don't want the National Guard in your house?
I don't think that's analogous for sure.
It's absolutely analogous.
I think
it's not your backyard. You don't care.
I think the thing here that like strikes me as like, I guess maybe because I'm a libertarian or whatever, I don't fucking know, but it's the hypocrisy of the entire situation is just very interesting because I mean, at least if you're a libertarian, you know, you have a basis for like what is aggressive and what isn't aggressive. But, you know, I see so many on the left that are, you know, oh, I'm pro-democracy. And it's okay so long as we win the election because that's the will of the people and the social contract. And that's what we have to do. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I believe in democracy. I believe in the will of the people. I believe in the social contract so long as my side wins and I get what I want. And then if the other side wins, well, all of a sudden I care about individual liberty and human rights. And, you know, we have to talk about the people whose rights are being violated in this instance, et cetera. And all of a sudden, property damage doesn't fucking matter, you know, vandalizing taxis and shit. Well, that's just the will of the people. That's just the unrest. That's just because fascism has come to California because Trump has, you know, gotten rid of migrants at half the rate as Obama. So, I mean, obviously it's insane, right? It's a vibes based, you know, I pick my principles whenever I want, right? Like, I think attacking cops isn't the best way to make your movement look good, but they're fucking cops. As far as I'm concerned, they have no justification for the safety of their lives, right? Like, I'm sorry, a cop killer is just one criminal killing another criminal. Like, that's just what it is. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm not saying it's morally good to randomly kill a cop.
What about Mr. Abood and his gas station?
Lactoid cosigns all.
But I think a private property owner, as you're describing, right? Someone who owns their property, or the people that own the fucking all of the, you know, the self-driving taxis that were destroyed, right? Or the you know, the Telemundo van, who's clearly on the rioter's side, getting fucking busted up and like tagged and
they
all this
busted up
shit,
a
right?
Telemundo van.
Because
it's fucking hilarious. Yeah. And it's like, yeah. And I think there's something also to be said that this isn't organic either. This isn't just the left, collectivist left, you know, picking a new issue. Like, you know, we see the same shit that we saw in fucking BLM. We're seeing pallets of bricks randomly show up in the middle of the night. I wonder who bought those. And
we'll
but
never get answers to those questions. Escalation.
Right. I mean, I do think it is an escalation, obviously.
Hold on, baby.
You would say it's a justified escalation.
Well, hold on. Right? I would argue the opposite. Actually, if you go in with overwhelming force and put it down, that's going to eliminate the you know, escalation, right? Like, you're going to go in there, you shut it down, it's done. Right? No more escalation. We're calm.
You murdered them all. Yes.
Well, sure. Listen, I'm not saying going out there and massacre them, bro. I'm not saying that. I mean, we can flood it with enough people that we can use
you can make the argument. Like, I mean, I think you could make the argument that it's like a reasonable escalation of like, right, but like that's necessary.
But if you're a regular business owner there and your shit's getting burned down, I don't think you think it's an escalation at all. You're going, holy fuck, why do I pay taxes if my business is going to be burned down and they're going to attack me in my home?
No, I'm saying that you believe that it's a reasonable escalation to reestablish
order. Semantics.
Well,
right?
hold
Like
on,
I'm
guys.
not
So,
saying
so back in the
just
back in the
descriptively.
original LA riots, the Rodney King riots, you guys may I remember those. I don't know, maybe I'm old, but
You're the only one. I'm the second oldest here, and I was a fucking
all right.
like
So back in
toddler
the Rodney King riots, they were burning things, looting things, and the LAPD did exactly what they're doing now, which is nothing. And so but the government didn't do anything. They didn't send in the Marines. They didn't send anybody. But you know what happened? You know what? Who stood up? Rooftop Koreans. They were literally armed on top of their roof, going to shoot people if they came into their neighborhood to loot them. There are pictures of it. It's a real thing. So either you have the government coming in and restoring order and protecting people and property, or you have people take it into their own hands. It's your call. Choose wisely.
Yeah. So the feds did.
I mean, there's a third option. There's a
They
third option, which is stop
eventually
ICE raids unless it's only
and
on
the riots stopped
fucking
immediately.
gang members and things.
Yeah. So like the government did come in during the LA riots. That they did show up
at the end, and then the riots stopped immediately as soon as they showed up.
Yeah. So the government took action and the riots stopped.
So it worked. Yeah. So
the Korean shops didn't get riot looted because rooftop Koreans.
Hold on. Racist ass Koreans. But in any case,
was it racist?
Why were they racist protecting their property?
I wonder why they were racist. I wonder what made them racist.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So lactoid. I've been reading into Posse Comitatus, the Posse Comitatus Act, which, in case you guys don't know, limits the use of the armed forces in the United States. Now, at first, it only applied to the Army. Then they expanded that to the Army and the Air Force. And then they further expanded that to the Army, Air Force, Marines, and Navy. So, like, they can't be used to enact domestic law unless otherwise authorized by Congress. As far as I know, they haven't been otherwise authorized by Congress. I'm trying to, I'm looking through it and trying to see if there is.
Yes. And I'll read more into because it's been a long time since I've looked at this. But
sure.
My recollection is that they generally they shouldn't be enforcing like state law, like law enforcement, but they can protect federal assets and persons. So, and that's what they're being used for, is what the administration is saying. So, like, for example, it would be arguably a violation if the president ordered the Marines in to like go start arresting people who are like committing like property damage, right? But it would be okay for the president to send Marines to walk with ICE agents who are enforcing valid deportation orders or like taking illegal immigrants, and then having those soldiers defend the ICE agent potentially with lethal force if necessary.
Okay, so as long as they are assisting in federal and in the execution of federal law enforcement
and protecting federal property,
it's specifically protecting federal persons or assets. Like I'm pretty sure that's okay. They just can't like go enforce state law. But immigration is federal. There's been a ton of Supreme Court cases on this.
So in that case, they can't directly respond to the protesters / rioters. They can't
they can protect
unless
ICE.
The rioters actively.
That's probably that's probably correct, and that's why, by the way, when you read through all these incidences where like you tear gas or rubber bullets are being shot, they're all being fired by LAPD.
Yeah, that's my understanding. LAPD. Yeah. So people keep characterizing LAPD as doing nothing. No, they're doing a lot actually. They actually are. They're the ones responding. So when you see the video of the people directly responding to the protesters, right? That's LAPD. The feds are like the ones surrounding the federal buildings, right? They're protecting those buildings. That's
I think there's some nuance to this a little bit, and I don't know if like this is what most people are catching up on. Probably not, right? But there is an accusation that Karen Bass took over communication between the LAPD and other organizations, which is like completely violating like their own like command structure during these events, which is slowing down LAPD's ability to respond to different situations, get places. And yeah, I mean, if it is true that she did that I guess it would.
I'm not sure that would
treasonous.
be treason.
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's
no. It might be breaking the law, but I'm not sure if it's treason.
Well, I mean, treason. Well, I can tell you exactly why it'd be treason.
Yeah,
we want to pull up the law.
But the pragmatic thing there, right, is that LAPD isn't necessarily doing nothing, but it is hampering LAPD's ability to do their job effectively. And as you know, minutes can be a huge difference in like potential riot scenarios between like calming down a couple of agitators or like them having to defend and hold their line and do nothing because they don't have the numbers yet. And so then mob psychology can very quickly take like one or two people destroying a car, but they can't move from their line because they don't have the numbers to stop those one or two people. And then all of a sudden it becomes a mob that's uncontrollable because someone else is interfering, I don't know if she's trying to get some glory or if she's trying to do it intentionally. If she's trying to do it intentionally to slow down treason. LAPD, that would be treason. But if she's just trying to get like the glory of like, I'm in charge or whatever, I don't know that that's necessarily treason. Maybe Admiral Gibbs has more information.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because first of all, Mexico's president has already called for more avid and resistance to be called for happen in LA and other cities. That's basically called to arms. Hold on, but that's hold on. Well, there's an important difference. Kamala Harris is the president. This is the President Sheinbaum of Mexico. This is a foreign power on our southern border, calling for Mexican nationals in another country to resist, and protest and be violent if needed. Right? These are.
Did she say be violent?
Hey,
no. Don't do that.
It's up in the air, man. It's up in the air.
He might have said resist.
If you want to disprove me, you can find this stuff. But she said resist.
Because you're saying bullshit. I'm saying you're saying bullshit.
Interpretation of it.
She said violent resistance.
I didn't interrupt anybody else.
You're bullshitting us.
I'm not. Violent resistance. It's extreme resistance.
No. I'm not going to prove the negative.
Like, you got to prove. You're proving the negative. I've already made a statement. You can prove the negative. Now here's the point.
Yeah, I'm not.
She's already made the statement. She's already made the statement. It's already on paper.
She hasn't made the statement.
She's made the statement.
It's all. I'm sure she said resist.
She made the statement.
She said resist.
It's a foreign power. A foreign power. Hold on. Let me talk. It's a foreign power.
Real quick. Quote: "It must be clear we condemn violence wherever it comes from." Quote: "We call on the Mexican community to act peacefully and not fall for provocation."
Yeah, listen, okay, Trump didn't Trump didn't ever say anything the first time either.
Okay, so you were wrong. You were wrong, correct? She said the opposite of what you just said.
This is a direct equivalent to the peaceful and
patriotic thing.
No. Actually, what I'm doing here, Prime, if you're catching on, is I'm making a direct equivalency to January 6th, where y'all are saying, so you're admitting y'all were lying about the peaceful and patriotic
thing.
You're lying. Because this is a direct equivalency. No, I did not. I'm trying to make a point here, and you won't even let me make my point. You just keep interrupting.
You lied. You had to deal with that first.
Hold on, Prime. First of all, this is the problem. If you would let me finish a point, then you would know that I wasn't lying, because the whole point that I was going to make was that this is the direct equivalency to President Trump saying peacefully and patriotic, and y'all called this an insurrection and treason. That was going to be my point, but since you interrupted me, as happens regularly, I know that y'all are excited. You have to let people finish points before you can object to them in their time. Hold on. You
already made the point that I was objecting to. The second part doesn't invalidate that.
It actually does,
Brian. I gave you plenty of chances to take it back, right?
I didn't take it back. Didn't take it back because you didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish.
Yeah, no. You keep saying that. Hey, Gibbs.
Literally in the middle of making a point. Prime, I'm literally I never interrupt you when you make all your points.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. You keep saying, hey, people just keep interrupting me, right?
How do you know? How do you know? How do you know? How do you know?
Afterwards, you're like, well,
are you a fortune teller? How do you know? How do you know? How do you know? This happens all the time. This happens all the time. I made a point. I haven't finished. Hold on, Prime. Hold on. It's not bullshit, because what happens is when I'm midpoint, you all interrupt, and you, specifically you in this case, don't let me make my full point, and then you're going to sit here and go, oh, Gibbs was doing this, when I was about to call y'all hypocrites, because, hey, guess what? It's the exact same thing. Oh, and you act like this is out of character, because I literally call y'all hypocrites all the time, and this is exactly the point I would make, was about the hypocrisy stemming from the left. So, back to my point, thank you. She made this comment, which is direct equivalency, that the left has already set the standard. This is inflammatory language. It's the exact same language Trump used, which was going to be my point. Thank you very much. So if this is the standard left wants to use, we have a foreign power making an inflammatory statement in the same manner, then by their own metric, this is called war in action. And thus, if Karen I'm mixing up names, Karen Bass is going to sit here and aid these people and allow these people to destroy American citizens' properties while being foreign nationals, that's treason. Not only that, she should also be convicted of charges for being so incompetent during the LA fires. So we're seeing these, and now I'm wondering if it was actual sabotage for a foreign power. She probably softened up LA for this beforehand by overstretching city resources, and now we're allowing to see the full evil, nefarious actions of her game plan. It's crazy. First she depleted the water rivers, then she burned down the air. This might be some nefarious attempt by the Uniparty here to try and take over land. I don't know. It's terrible. It's literally treason in every regard. It's outrageous. And then you're going to sit here and go, oh, it's peaceful patriotism. When we see videos of guys on call, they socialite posted in the group chat and said aura farming. It's a guy holding a Mexican flag while the city burns behind him, and cops are going, oh, holy shit.
It's called aura, man. I'm just saying.
It's called terrorism and insurrection.
Well,
that's
the
what
terrorists have a lot of aura. I don't know what you guys keep getting the sickest shots of them doing the most insane things. I'm just saying. You want people not to rally behind them.
Well, yeah, because I don't know. Well, yeah, I mean, they get the best shots when you have an evil, illegal person that's sitting here working for a foreign power treasonously to help set them up with the biggest publicity stuff in America. Yeah, because Karen Bass is helping to make it look like Marvel villains because she's being inept and just making the police do stuff. It's terrible. I call on you, if y'all the lefties have any integrity, after y'all said all this bullshit about Trump on January 6th with his peaceful and patriotic thing, same thing that Scheinbaum did, by the way. Once again, hypocrites. Thanks, Prime, for interrupting before I can get to that.
The Mexican president.
Hold on. If y'all are going to hold Trump to this standard, then y'all have to hold the Mexicans to this standard, and specifically Mexican nationals, and do what the president's saying. And we need to hold Karen Bass.
I condemn the Mexican president for making insurrectionist statements at America. I don't fuck. What the fuck? What are we doing? What are we doing? Listen.
I'm just saying it's awful.
Right now, the only thing I heard is that like we're like earlier is that like this is like where you get civil war. Kind of, right? Where you have half of the people that voted, right, that are siding with half of the people that are illegal according to you, right? Where you're siding with half of the people that are illegal according to you. Like, this is how you get, like, do you want the Habibis and the essays to come together? Because this is how you get the Muslims and the Mexicans to kind of just
Do you agree whenever your side wins?
Against mass deportation, against racism, all the Semitisms, whatever all the antis, this is what you're going to get, right? It's the rhetoric of, like, I don't care if it's Lupita. You want everyone. Because if you want to consider people
your side wins, it's fine. Hold on. Dr. brought this up, and your side wins. All right, you're perfectly fine. Whatever side you voted for. Okay, when you vote for that side, hold on. Okay, well, then that's your problem. Right? When this one side wins,
not my problem.
Okay, hold on. When the left makes wins, right, and they bring back the laws, we don't see mass burning down of cities like we do on the right, right? Like with the right.
Because you guys have no reason to. We're not deporting you.
Right. Okay. Cool. Right. Listen, we don't. It can be for any reason. There's all sorts of reasons. We don't see this activity.
Bring up the reasons why cities are being burnt, right?
Then we come over here. Then we come over here. Oh yeah. Okay.
People are saying that there's violence coming from the police towards like black communities. So they fucking rose up and fucking decided to take some type of stance. Now, did it become bad? Yes.
It's always
going to happen when you have people who feel like you're being selected, right? So like right now, who's rioting? Right now, we see political violence coming from the pro-Palestinian side, right? Why is there violence? Is it just because these people are fucking like?
Let me just ask you a question.
There's reasons why there's violence. You don't want to address the reasons, and you just kind of want to
hold on. That's not what's happening. So here's my question. I get where you're coming from, and you're saying we have this moral high ground. I see this as a moral wrong, and then we're taking action, right? Okay, I get that, right? Now, what I'm saying is, by your own metric, if that's true, when the right loses, they have every right to do what you're saying because they're going to go, oh, I have this moral.
What's the moral wrong that you're writing about?
Okay, I'll just pick a random one. Okay, let's just say, I don't know, a school decided that all middle school kids would be, I don't know, encouraged to wear pride colors, and
go protest it.
Okay, well, so when they go and decide they're going to burn down the city hall, they're going to burn down the public school like head facility, and they're going to tear up all the neighborhoods. Now, you're going to hold on. You're going to say that's fine because they see this as morally wrong. Oh.
Watch.
Consistent.
This is the hypothetical. I'll engage with the hypothetical. I'm actually really good at engaging with hypotheticals.
Okay.
If there's a school in your district,
ridiculous hypotheticals. Go ahead.
I've done it. Listen, if there's schools in your district, right, and they're like, hey, everyone has to wear a pride shirt in June, right? and the members of that community protest it. And
down the city hall,
right,
and
protesting is fine. You start with a protest. I'm okay with starting with protest. You don't just go right to fucking burning Capitol Hall, right? You start with a protest. If that protest is met with counter protests, right? BLM starts as a protest. It's met with ALM, right? Now you have counter protests. When things bubble up and they get big enough, if they get big enough, and
counter protest,
all
the
lives
fuck
matter.
are you talking about?
What is all lives matter?
Was like fucking
it's
old
a counter
people on
protest
Facebook.
about Black Lives Matter.
Where was the counter protest?
But this is insanity. This is
I'm
literal
just
insanity.
drawing an example, dude. It's not like I'm just saying.
Okay,
like,
yeah,
ALM
but
comes up if there's a counter protest.
Counter protest. Okay, so you mean anybody disagrees? It then means we go further. Is that what you mean by counter protest? Is just any group of people disagree with our protests, or do you mean like
no?
When you
So
say
like
counter protest,
with the
you mean
protests
like
in BLM
clashes and shit, but like. There were
counter
basically
protest doesn't
none.
have to be counter protest doesn't have to mean like necessarily clashes. You can counter protest,
right? But the way he's using it is like an escalation of things. Like basically the entire media and state apparatus was saying that COVID couldn't be spread by BLM because BLM has this magical property. Unlike you, dare going to the gym. You know, you're killing grandma if you go to the gym.
I mean, all I was trying to get to is eventually
there was basically no counter to BLM. Like they ran rampant on their own.
I'm saying if there's a group of people who feel like their rights are being infringed upon to a point and no one's listening, and you go through certain processes and it gets to the point where even your protests aren't being listened to, and a riot happens, I'm going to be understanding of the riot happening. I'm not going to say it's good. I'm not going to say you should do riots. Riots are bad, right? Like riots do not solve anything. But like for people to just like not have any understanding of why a riot would like arise and just kind of blame it to just like violence for just violence sake is kind of stupid. Like you should
we have a word for that. It's called inconsistency. That's what the word is you're looking for right there. You're not being consistent.
No, it's just the right doesn't have anything to necessarily riot for.
Of course we don't. We don't have anything to riot for.
The big thing. Once again, I don't necessarily know what insurrection even fucking means, so I don't go around like condemning J6ers for doing that. I was like, whatever. I don't personally care about what happened during January 6th, right? Whatever. But if people consider it a riot, they look at what the right felt, or Republicans or MAGA felt like the vote was actually stolen from them, right? It was like, hey, we don't agree with the election results. So then they rioted. And that's kind of, I'm like, all right, if you believe that the election was literally stolen, I mean, I guess I can kind of understand why you'd want to raid a building. That's not like that crazy to me. So like when you're talking to me, like, I don't necessarily, I'm not a big.
Okay, so let's just use January 6th. How many gas stations got burned down on January 6th?
I don't know, probably none. Is that
okay? So here's my question then, right? Like, so if you pay taxes, do you pay taxes? I'm assuming you pay taxes, right? Don't answer if you don't. So we all pay taxes here, right? and like if we're all paying taxes, right? And they come up and you own I don't know, Sociologic's gas station, and everybody in your neighborhood's gas stations get burned down. Hey, listen, whatever. Gas stations. I assume he's such a classy businessman like Amaranth, who owns a bunch. Anyway, I'm just saying that he owns this gas station, and all the gas stations, the CVS's, the Chick-fil-A's, the Walmarts are all getting burned down because people are mad about.
I'd start putting up Mexican flags all over my gas station.
No, but yeah, it's just cool. But they're mad because the taxes
I'd
got
give
raised.
Out free water to the protesters.
Hold on.
Right? Like I'd support.
Taxes got raised by 3%, and the Republicans are rioting, and they're burning down everything in the neighborhood. Would you like the National Guard to be deployed in front of your gas station to protect it from being burned down by the Republicans?
No,
yeah, you're a liar. You're a liar.
No. You want to know why? You want to know? Because now my community is a community where the fucking Marines are walking around, right? Forgot. I don't know how long, right?
Bro. It's better than you dying.
One of a few things has to happen when like the Marines are coming into town, right? Martial law. Everyone has to go home, or we're gonna kick out a lot of fucking people. A lot of people are gonna go into jail, right? My business probably isn't gonna be doing so good. If you were a smart business owner, right? You notice the riots happening, you see the rumblings happening, you put up mad Mexican flags, and you buy cases of water, and you put them outside of your business, and you hand them out to fucking rioters and protesters. Give them a Red Bull if you have to, but then they avoid your business.
They destroyed a Telemundo van. I don't think that plan's working too good.
I don't know. I don't fucking know. Why'd they blow up the Telemundo van?
Because they're destructive.
Because they're
rioters.
They're not good people.
They're insurrectionists, bro. That's why. They're terrorists.
Lactoid, I keep looking into this law, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot because you obviously weren't prepared for this. But it doesn't say anything about like making discrimination between federal and state law. It just says exercising it just says domestic laws, executing the laws except in such cases under such circumstances as such employment of said force may be expressly authorized by the Constitution or by act of Congress. So I'm just trying to figure out where does it expressly say that it can do those things? Like the
I mean, I'll have to look through. I know that you can obviously use federal employees to protect federal employees, right? ICE are federal employees, and so if you can send them in, you can also use other federal assets to protect.
Who is ICE? What is ICE like?
It's is it
just some dude that gets
customs enforcement? What are you talking about?
No, is it just some dude
agency?
ICE are federal agents.
Are they trained people, or is it just security?
It's similar to similar to the FBI.
These are trained people.
Yeah, the left has this new weird thing where I guess they do this shit where they just kind of throw out things hoping that something will go viral with the collectivist left, because they'll kind of just latch on to any bullshit if it matches the vibes. But one of the new things they're doing on social media is pretending ICE agents are these kindergarten mall cop people as Nazis.
I thought that's what
and
it was.
They're
I don't know if the Nazi
they're not as well trained as, let's say, field agents in the FBI, but they're federal.
Are they
agents.
better trained than cops?
Better, they're better trained than your typical
just
police
every
officer.
FBI.
Once again, I actually don't know, and I was just asking because I don't fucking know
too.
Guy.
Yeah.
What the fuck? How am I supposed to know that they're akin to FBI agents? I didn't fucking know that. In my mind, they were just kind of security guards that got round up. I don't know.
No, they're actual federal agents. They go to Flat Sea. They have to go through selection. They have to do all of those same things.
I'm gonna rejoin. I'm getting a robot.
I'm getting a robot. Am I roboting?
You're not roboting.
I'm not getting anything.
I think it's something with Discord because we're all having problems on it.
Yeah. Let me pull them back in.
Yeah, as far as the Marines go, I mean, I'm not sure about the Marines, because you're going to get some Lance Corporal that's been out in the fucking desert raking rocks for the last 6 months. He's going to be jacked up on Monster and have a row of Zen in his lip, and somebody's going to say something to him, and he's going to light it off. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
so, I missed something, but Marines are usually better than cops and other people at de-escalation techniques.
Yeah,
because they call in the bombs.
It's great things.
Hey, listen, you need to stop or blow your ass up.
So okay, my question is, do you see a world where the protests and the riots lessen, or do you see them as ramping up? And what's the response? Are we just going into martial law for all the towns that we're going to be raiding to get to get these criminals out? You want 20 million people out
being declared?
I know. Yeah. Well, obviously, yeah. But if the Marines are coming into town, right? And things escalate, you would assume things are going to only get worse, right? I don't think it's going to get better.
Look, this is a symbolic thing, okay? Because obviously Obama, obviously Trump is not deporting at very high levels, right? Many Republicans are rightfully, I guess, if you subscribe to might makes right like you do and everyone else but me on the panel does, right? Rightfully, upset that Trump isn't doing the level of deportations that he promised, right? Because he's not even close to Obama's numbers. Like people voted for mass deportations. They are not getting mass deportations at all. I'm against mass deportations, obviously, but this is a symbolic thing. This has become a Trump goes into California and he's ramped up the deportations a little bit in terms of symbolically, right? In numbers, he's not ramped anything up, but he's moving in on people that have evaded immigration courts and things like that. Things that are you would consider non-violent crimes, but are certainly violations of immigration laws in our country beyond just coming here, right? But he's not going after the people that came in under the Biden administration and got the CPP app on their phone, right? He's going after people that have been evading.
It's a bit more than that. Right? So we've seen a pattern of ICE going after people going to court, showing up to an immigration hearing, a federal immigration hearing.
Yeah,
and then
that shit happened under Obama all the time. Like this isn't anything new.
They go in.
That's how that works.
They go. No, that's not how this works. Like,
it's
I mean, I don't get why the whole like.
Let me finish the thing. Let me just finish the thing, and they can respond to it, right? So
there you go. Tell them.
They go into their court, right? For their court date, and then the ICE, the federal government, whoever that representative is, I'm not exactly sure who, they dismiss the case immediately, and then as they're leaving, then they're grabbed.
This happened tons of times under Obama administration.
Yeah,
and part of the argument under the Obama administration was that because the court, because they were, especially people that were going to like federal courts, they were like, well, even in your sanctuary city, we have jurisdiction here because now you've shown up to a federal court hearing. So now we aren't technically violating your sanctuary city thing because they showed up to immigration court in a federal court, which then they were like, this isn't a violation of your sanctuary city things. Now, again, this isn't anything new at all. It's just the outrage is new, and it's the outrage from the left that's new on this. Now, again,
why is it new?
I'm not for mass because it's fucking
because more people know about it, and because people were like there's probably people more politically engaged this time around versus when Obama was around, and all these things. Right? It's not just like because people were okay with it when Obama was doing it, they're not okay with it. Right? Because up until now, I didn't agree. Hold on. Now it's someone like me didn't necessarily think, Obama deported the most people.
Hold on.
Right?
Dude, come on. Yeah. You're interrupting, but like, I will agree that 2010 is a different world than 2025. Like, I'm not disagreeing with you on that, right? I will agree that social media has made things more public and more people are seeing things, and that is part of it. Is that it tended to be 10 15 years ago that only the most politically engaged people were aware of a lot of things, but at the same time, right, Obama was clearly was named by the media and by many people that were upset the porter in chief. And now we have a Democratic administration just before Trump that is bringing in more immigrants. Like, we don't know because it's hard to know when you kind of have an open border and you're not funding people and you're fighting Texas from protecting the border and you're fighting Arizona from protecting the border. But definitely bringing in more immigrants relative to population and in absolute numbers than any other president in a single term ever. And so again, the hypocrisy is a serious problem here, and it's just the current thing, but it is a symbolic move by the president. The reason he's bringing in the Marines, the reason he's bringing in things is that he's saying, no, this is what people were voted for, fuck you, back down. Whether or not that's good or bad, like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously you have my opinion and others have their opinion as well. And my opinion is the right one, but it is less about the actual raids themselves and more about like, we're not backing down just because you guys want to riot and burn shit. Like, we're going to get this mission done. Of course, he's not doing it very effectively.
Right.
So,
well, and
hey,
Scott,
just one quick thing, and then I'll go straight to you. Could you give me a source on this Obama thing? Now, I'm not calling you a liar.
I mean, I can find one, but I lived through it. Like,
to be clear, I'm not calling you a liar or anything, right? It's just that I haven't seen this. And I know Obama was like deported in chief. Obama deported a fuck ton of people, and he was awful because of it. Fuck Obama. Another reason why I say fuck Obama. But I just haven't seen this particular thing. So if you could provide me that, then that would help me give further context to this current moment. I'd appreciate it. All right, let's go to our friend Greg.
Yeah. So just to kind of also address some of the things that Scott said is Trump is really doing this to draw more attention to the fact that he is deporting people, because there for a while we didn't know that he was at all, and he was doing all of the if you leave voluntarily, we'll pay you and all of this, which was not really helping his image with the base, if you will, and while Obama actually targeted people who were not necessarily in violation, as Scott kind of illustrated, that they would go, or Kai's actually, you kind of illustrated, where they would go to court, the case would get dismissed or continued or whatever, and ICE would catch them on their way out and deport them. Trump is being very targeted and almost surgical in how he's deporting people. I don't know why. Honestly, it's a new look for him. It could just be the people under him are doing it this way because that's the way they want to do it. But they're only targeting people who are felons, who have actual outstanding deportation orders, and or are here provably illegally, and they're not just going willy nilly after people harvesting lettuce in Kansas. That's not what's happening, which has happened before, and where most of the criticism of deportations come is deporting those people. So he's going after the gangs. He's going after the criminals and the people who need to go away. And the fact that you guys can't get behind that and see that for what it is astounding to me. It's like it's beyond TDS, right? It's beyond anything I've actually seen. And the fact that and it's just a fact that you should honestly, this should be an issue that Trump does that you should all be behind, because he is being the most surgical, the most precise in deportations of any president in recent history. And he's getting a lot of complaints from his own party about it, because we would rather him just do the boxcars, right? I mean, to be honest, a lot of us would.
I'm not gonna lie. This just sounds like It just sounds like Hasbro for Trump. You guys just took IDF talking points and applied them. He's the most surgical. Bad. He's dropping pamphlets before he deports them. Like we're gonna get.
Lactoid, would you prefer boxcars?
Literally already have deportation orders.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Lactoid, who was pretty.
That's a bad thing. Like sociologic. That's literally a stupid thing to say.
Well, that's a pretty awful thing. That's like, I mean, that's one of the most disgusting things. Yeah, put them in the boxcars, send them out. You want to do that?
I mean, I'm not trying to send them to Auschwitz. I'll say that.
It was from the last time we did. Yeah, the government should load people on the boxcars and send them out of the country. Right? It was great the last time that happened. Right? A really smart guy came up with that. Worked out well. Sure. All right. Well, anyway, back to what I was saying before. Go ahead. You guys
so like Grid, do you think? Okay, so it's just like, you're saying that he's surgically removing these people. It's just like the problem is that like most people don't believe that, right? I don't know how you show or convince, because like even Lactoid, who like once again, it's not he wasn't like MAGA headstrong, right? But like even he came on, who like and was like, hey, I'm not necessarily pro this. If they were doing it more surgically, I'd be like for it, but it doesn't seem like they're doing that. So like, how do you contest with that? Someone who is like voted for this, wanted this, but is also disagreeing with you.
Yeah, because the facts are the facts. The facts are that the people that they're deporting are people who actively have deportation orders. That means they've gone to court. That means they've shown up, and a judge somewhere has said, "Get out of the country, kid. You don't belong here." Okay.
Why didn't they deport them right there and then?
I don't know. You can ask the courts. Our court system is not the best, to be honest with you. Especially, I don't know about
does anyone on the immigrant side have a counter to that? I don't necessarily have a counter to say that they're not doing this surgically, right? I don't believe it, and that's kind of my that's bias.
You don't have to believe it,
right? I'm asking for a counter if there is, right? Like, are they doing this surgically? Is it true, or is it Fabian and Scott both said Lupita were getting kicked out?
From what I understand, like they're like rated. Going to a Home Depot doesn't sound surgical to me, but that's just like my subjective opinion.
Yeah, no, they made it so like the claim
they'll be there.
Was that, and at that I would go straight to our friend Gibbs. The claim was by the Trump administration originally was that we're going to go after the criminals, right? Basically, what our friend Scott was saying before, right? Like we're going to go after Chende Aragua, and then but they expanded it past that, right? Like as people predicted, that wasn't the scope of the limiting scope of what they were doing. They're going after people who are innocent, completely innocent, who only have a immigration violation, which does not make them a criminal. We have to tell conservatives this all the time. That actually doesn't make them a criminal. They didn't violate the criminal code. They violated it's a civil violation. They're not criminals if all they did was come into the country illegally. And even then, among those people, there might be those who came without undocumented, but like have gotten themselves or in the asylum process or have some other protected status, and that most things are being revoked now, right? So protected status is being revoked, and then those people are now up to the people who lost that status are now up for removal. So like these aren't criminals, not criminals. Who I'm discussing aren't criminals, but they're up for removal as well. So no, this is not surgical. Absolutely not. But go ahead, Gibbs, please.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say put them on the boxcars. Let's just go with that. But I do feel like
even Gibbs won't go that far.
I feel like that's bad optics. Maybe we give them parachutes and we shoot them out of a plane or something. I don't fucking know.
Buses.
But yeah, buses. I don't know. I thought it froze for a second there. My bad. I do know that I'm one of the more extreme on this panel in regards to the immigration. Because it is immigration. It's home to me. It's home to me. I've had friends die in the cartels. I've had whatever. And okay, I'll even grant. Let's even say I'll grant what Prime is saying with the. Oh, did I freeze?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'll even grant what you're saying with it's back.
Yeah, but we can still hear you, side.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so I'll even grant what you're saying with, hey, these people are are civil, whatever, not actually whatever. I would prefer them starting with I don't know, like the Abrigo Garcias or whatever, this guy that's got 100 fucking criminal charges that's coming up apparently, right? Like that's a good guy to start with. Let's start with those guys. Sure, and I actually think there is something to be said for what Grid's saying. I don't know that y'all like memeing, oh, he pulled up at Home Depot. Yeah, what do you think these guys work? Like they're outside. These people, yeah, they might be on here for charges, but a lot of these guys got day jobs. I don't know if you know any people that are actual gangsters. A lot of them have day jobs and then they do hood shit at the evenings or hood shit when they're free or they sell stuff out or whatever. I mean, if you have actual charges, cool, let's go and get those people. But what's happening is we don't know even what some of these people have or whatever, because they're just in the process of arresting them, and we're getting cars attacked, and they go, oh, well, hey, this is an unmarked car. That's sus. That's Gestapo. Well, okay, why are they doing that? Well, they're doing that because if you pull up with a Border Patrol car, they're going to run. I mean, it's obviously, it's just obvious. I don't know how else you describe this. You're really we're going to get them, and you pull up, and you get a Border Patrol, and then, oh, now these people are throwing rocks at us. Now these people are attacking us. And they're like, oh, well, they pulled up in this car. Oh, this is just Gestapo time. It's just blatant hypocrisy and bullshit, and anybody that's in America can see this, and this is why I'm saying this is a bad issue for the Dems to die on this hill on. 54%, we keep talking about this 46% that thinks that there's morally justified whatever, but 54% of people are saying, hey, shit's got to change. This is literally what he campaigned on. He's implementing it, and going about it, and now since he's going about it, the idea is, oh, we're going to riot, and we're going to just frame everything so badly that if you try to argue about this with anybody, suddenly the next response is boxcars. I don't know. It's concerning.
Oh,
it's concerning.
I mean, he said boxcars.
Yeah.
To be clear, I haven't heard Trump say boxcars yet. That's we're going to leave that to our friend Grid here.
So I just want to clarify something that was said earlier before. Sure. The reason why you could have a deportation order and not just get deported right from the court hearing is you could have a deportation order come down later after your court date. You could also have a lot of people simply not show up to their court date, which is relatively among, this group of people relatively common. And so
they're an assigned deportation, right? They weren't. I mean, if you don't show up to your court date,
it's something like.
Well, no, you can get a deportation.
They actually regularly do show up to their court dates. Now, not that they all do.
My understanding is first time.
More than they don't. Sorry,
right. Well, I think it's first time court date, right? But then I don't think it's 80% for the ones after that.
First time court date, 80%. Okay, well then I haven't seen that. If you have more detailed statistics, when you can.
Sure. Yeah. But like I said, it's going to be some mix of people who get a deportation order following their court date that they do show up for, or it's going to get some mix of people who just never show up to their court date, which maybe it's only 20% don't show up for their first one. I think if it's talking second or third one, I think the percentages, from what I've heard, do grow, but I'll look into that. And so that's normally what's going to happen, right? And so at that point, they have a valid deportation order, and they just they can't be found until, of course, ICE finds them and deports them.
Okay. So yeah. So I think the raids. Right? So I haven't actually said anything, right? So I guess I'll try to take a stand here. I think it's perfectly within the legal rights of anyone to protest anything. And so when we're talking about the raids that were happening or rumored to happen, my understanding was that they were happening, like the information was correct as to what ICE was about to do, but maybe that was just a rumor. I don't know. But in any case, it makes sense that they should be able to protest that, to show up, and to even interfere, right? Now, if you interfere, you face consequences. But at very least, one protesting should be able to protest. And if you want to interfere, like I've seen people stand the way, right, of ICE getting through. And like ICE now has to remove them. You link your arms or something, and then they have to remove them to get to your target, right? Anything you can do to slow down the machinery of this brutal regime, then yeah, you should do that. If you're, of course, willing to pay the consequences, because you might get arrested for doing that. So I think all that is fair game. Now, do I support the violence that's happening, the out-and-out violence? No, I don't support that. I think it's kind of funny what's happening to Waymo. Where they're, in case you guys aren't following that part of the story, they are calling Waymos, right, the taxi service, the robot taxi service, to the protest, and just burn them. They're destroying them.
Waymo pulled out now. Yeah, Waymo pulled their people out now too. They're not allowing
people. No, there are no people. There are people to pull out.
They're pulling their. I mean, they're pulling their car. Yeah,
they stopped operating.
So I looked up. I looked up the ICE training. ICE agents just go to it's a specialized training thing where it's like 12 to 24 weeks of training to become an ICE agent. I don't know if it's you guys are kind of making them seem like FBI agents.
I think that's a larger problem.
That's 3 months to 2 years.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
That's pretty on par with police training, right?
Well, make sure I got the numbers right, because I am a little dyslexic sometimes. Just want to make sure I got got those numbers right.
Boot camp for the Army is like.
Oh, I'm sorry. 12 to 24 weeks.
That's for infantry.
12 to 24 weeks, not months. Sorry, I am illiterate sometimes.
No,
you may have said that.
But if you go basic training for the Army is 10 weeks. For the Marine Corps, it's 13 weeks, right? So what you're saying is, bro, all they do is double the training that a soldier goes through in basic training, right?
But basic training. But wait. Basic training doesn't. It's prepare you for deportations and also these are two. That's not enough training to sit here and say we're going to have a deportation and then compare them to the FBI, right? And liken them to the FBI. That's what you were doing, is likening them to FBI agents, which I was these do seem more like security.
I literally said,
FBI.
What do you mean?
FBI training apparently is 16 to 20 weeks.
Wait, yeah. So I just want to know, how many weeks do you need to learn how to
Quantico is still is a little bit less or roughly the same depending upon what you're doing.
Isn't becoming a cop 9 months?
No, FLETC takes it's 12 to 24 weeks, but that's literally just to become hireable. Then you go to your specific training. It's not one training. It's not like you go to FLETC and you come out and you're Junior G-Man 1000.
Yeah, but calling them FBI agents isn't This is silly.
This is a silly hill to die on that the left.
I don't even think I'm dying on it. I'm just I don't know if we're gonna call them FBI agents.
It's comparable
federal agents. They go through a similar training. Now, yes,
you have
special FBI agents, right, where they do crazy shit, right? But you also have different groups that do different things in ICE, right? In
ICE, you're gonna have some Quantico, right? That's the whole thing.
Yeah, but some people at ICE, some people. It's just like the CIA, right? Think about it this way: there are a ton of people that work at the CIA that have. Listen, there are a ton of people at the CIA that just have desk jobs and they do intel analyst shit.
They still have to
they still work for the CIA, but they still have to go through this training.
Because they're for intelligence.
Yeah, but
they
some
still
people
go through the same training.
Some people at ICE are just going to be.
I'm
HR
just saying I could become an ICE agent tomorrow. It's not like
Well,
no, you can't.
Where
you'd go to a 12 to 24 week course just to be hireable, and then if you wanted to be an ICE agent that was like carrying a gun and like going on raids in a restaurant, you'd have to go through several other months, and you'd have to go through like combat training,
and then you do a year's worth
shooting
of
range,
probation.
you'd have to qualify, you'd have to go through fitness tests. Like, listen, I'm not saying that like ICE are fucking Army Rangers or Navy SEAls or fucking Marine Force Recon. Okay,
they're not security.
This is so dumb. This is so dumb. They are not security guards.
Security guards don't get training at all.
Just the
what are you
left
talking about?
trying to make
They're
fun
Doge
of
employees.
You got to get certified.
Yeah, it takes watching a video. Come on, get out of here.
They won a lottery and now they're ICE agents. That's how that works.
Saying it takes 9 months to become a massage therapist.
So
I think it should take a little bit longer to become an ICE agent. I don't know.
Well, it does, but just to become hireable, it takes you 24 weeks.
I think law enforcement in general, right? This is not directed at ICE specifically, but domestic law enforcement agents in general should have a lot more. Should have years of training rather than what we have. Like we see that in other countries, they have years of training beforehand. Some of them require them to have a bachelor's degree. That might be too much for us. We might not be able to afford that because we just have too many cities.
I mean,
for
most federal agents, most federal agents, not all, but most, right? You have to pass a battery of tests just to be considered. Depending on the agency, they're all different, but just to be considered. Once you're accepted as a candidate, there's no guarantee of a job. You go to FLETC. You pass. If you pass, which not everybody does because it's hard, then you go to your individual agency and you receive some specific training depending on what job you're going to do. If you're going to be an investigator in the FBI, well, you're going to get some science classes. You're going to get, you're going to follow an agent around for a while and that kind of thing. I don't know what all the FBI is really unclear about what their training is, but I actually have one of their old training manuals somewhere around here. But this is not, it takes years. It can take years just to be hired.
Scott, I'll look at your link.
I was having a hard time finding stuff just because Google is fucking trash even when you do the year thing. And AI sent me articles, but then I couldn't find the archives or whatever. I need more time to look into it more, but that's I found something right from the Obama administration, and it was like the letter that Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton signed condemning Obama, like while they were running for election and stuff. And in that, there are witnesses talking about ICE showing up to their court hearings to immediately deport them when they had like other court hearings and DUI courts and things of that nature. But like I said, I need more time, but like I lived through it. Hopefully Grid can back me up because he's old enough to have lived through it too. They were definitely showing up at courthouses and arresting.
What I want specifically is immigration court. But again, I'm not trying to call you a liar. I'm just like, I hadn't heard this and I'm looking for it. But yeah, I know, like I'm asking a lot of you to like find.
Yeah, what I'm saying in this isn't the best article. Like there's watch other things have paywalls, and so finding articles from 2015 and 2016 behind the paywall while I'm live on stream is a pain in the ass. But yeah, at least in this article without a paywall from 2016, they're talking about people showing up for DUI hearings, and ICE is there at their DUI hearing to arrest them.
It's similar to what we're talking about. Yeah, at the very least.
Yeah. Well, the thing that was significant under the Trump administration, right, that wasn't per se common under the Obama administration, and this isn't occurring now, but this was occurring during Trump's first presidency, is like they were showing up to domestic violence hearings to deport people, and like there was like are people going to be afraid to call out their abuser because they're worried about being deported? And it's like, if you're a statist and you believe in the will of democracy, then, you don't really have a leg to stand on here because that is the will of the people to deport people that are illegal under the Trump administration. But if you're like based and you have moral principles like a libertarian, then like you can say like there's a real issue here with like people showing up to domestic violence to report abusers and then being arrested by ICE. I don't remember that being a thing of the Obama administration.
You can say that like there's the will of the people, and like as a matter of like the functioning of government, the government should follow the will of the people. But it can also be a problem, right? The will of the people can be utterly wrong, right? Like people could have voted for something.
Well, no, there's a contradiction because you believe might makes right. You believe that the people can lose in their ability to have their rights violated and taxes and things like that. If you believe in democracy or liberal democracy, right? You believe in might makes right. So you believe that force is always justified against a weaker opponent.
I don't necessarily believe that at all. You've been stating that, but so I don't want to get distracted with that. I'm just saying that you can. All right, you know what, we're gonna just disagree on that. So let's go to, I think Gibbs might have had his hand up before, and then we'll go to Lactoid. Did you have your hand up, Gibbs? I didn't want to skip you.
No, you can come after Lactoid. No,
okay.
All right. Well, it's good because mine's very temporally relevant. Question for Corey, real quick. Using Scott's example of the domestic abuse victim who doesn't want to testify because they might get deported. With this person, would you say that they're doubly responsible because not only did they choose to be with the domestic abuser,
my God, you brought it back.
But they also did so while being an illegal immigrant. Such a dumb decision, right?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, all right. You get what I'm referencing? Nice.
Yeah, I know you tried to tie it to the original.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm just
no obligation. No obligation.
No obligation. Okay.
I guess bringing it back a little bit to what we kind of discussed, I'm really struggling with this concept of like, I'm not going to go do the Fabian route here that you just did, where it's like the might makes right thing. But I am confused.
Well, you unironically like say that.
I know.
Like,
I know.
Base for that.
I know. I know that, but I want to talk.
You bite the bullet.
Listen, I agree with you on that part. I just want to take this a different route a little bit, though, right? So whenever we do here have this idea that, okay, one side loses, they get to make the laws, and then the other side wins, they get to make the laws, they enforce it, and like, okay, so let's just grant the world that sociologic and Prime have kind of like talked about where you can protest whatever, yada yada, right? And I'm gonna go further with like more with sociologics right here, like, oh well, these people are wronged, they feel wrong, they should like fight. Now I remember coming on these panels with I think almost everybody here except maybe Grid, and being told how crazy it was that Texas, who all voted for their people, decided they were going to put their troops to stop the government from coming and like tearing down the walls that the state had built to stop the immigration. Now, they were sitting here following these laws, and I heard, oh, this is crazy, this is outrageous. I heard from a lot of people here, I think, about how that was just outrageous. And then now, like, instead of like a group of people that were elected by their constituents, which at least Texas is, y'all want to do this double standard and suddenly go, states' rights, Governor Newsom is this saintly guy, and Karen Bass is just fantastic, wonderful people for their guiding these people.
I don't know who either of these people
No, this is what you're doing. This is what you're doing, though, sociologically.
The governor of California and the mayor.
No. Like, you're doing this. Attention to them. I'm more speaking on the people on the ground, not
on
the
ground. Fine, that's fine.
Governor.
But you're arguing that saying, hey, one of these is morally justified because I agree with it, right? However, if we're in this world where one side loses, then you don't have any justification to sit here and go poo-poo when Texas is trying to like do whatever they want to do after we voted these constituents in. What?
Gibbs, did either me, Ali, or Corey even mention Cory Booker, or sorry, not Corey, Gavin Newsom, or Karen Bass, right? Only the conservatives here have mentioned them.
I understand that. I understand. Right. No, that's not what I'm arguing. I'm arguing like more towards
the leadership.
Yeah, that's the leadership.
Not be relevant.
Yeah, that's why I'm picking them because I think they are leading. I think they're leading a coordinated movement. That's part of it. Y'all can put.
They're not relevant to like me.
But what I'm saying is what you're saying, even at the local level,
relevant to the topic.
Yeah, but
they're not relevant to the topic. I'm saying we didn't mention them.
I have mentioned them several times, but I'm bringing it back down to the local level, like what you're talking about, sociology. I'm saying that it's hypocrisy for them to turn around and go, oh, we're going to riot, we're going to destroy these things, and we're going to say we're morally justified. And it's like, oh, our morals are superior to yours after we voted these people in. And that's what are supposed to be determining are. Like, that's what a democracy is. That's kind of what Fabian's arguing with the Mike Makes Right argument here, is we are agreeing with our social construct that when a new group takes power, that we're going to allow them to make decisions partially based on how they define morality. And if their defined morality is, hey, we want to enforce border laws, and you're going to sit here and riot, well, and then turn around and simultaneously like, oh, well, the guys doing it on the other side when they're fighting the government are bad. That's literal hypocrisy. I
would have to say the guys doing it on the other side were bad. Like, I don't necessarily think January 6th was that big of a deal. So like, I understand why it was a big deal, and the fact that like insurrection, the big words, and the like so on and so forth. Like, I understand why it happened. I'm not like it's not that crazy.
Do you have a problem with that?
I'm sorry.
Do you remember having a problem when Texas sent the Texas National Guard to fend off federal agents down at the border and stop them from tearing down property? Do you remember when how y'all were like, "Oh, I'm against that"? You said
I don't necessarily think I would be against that. I don't know.
But you were against that. We were on panels here. Y'all both.
And you know, I was against this.
I need Corey. with his fucking memory to come in here and tell me whether or not
everyone y'all spoke against
that.
We can do this later. I actually don't know that I would be against that. It doesn't seem like something I would that I have.
Well, then you're consistent. I mean, Pride, were you against it?
Could you repeat it, please? I'm sorry.
Do you see? I don't see any fundamental difference if we're going to sit here and say how y'all are like when Texas has elected officials and they send the Texas National Guard to enforce the border, and the U.S. government comes in with federal agents and tries to stop them, and it ends peacefully. I see that as fundamentally justified, at least because local people elected these people, and it's government versus government. Now, what we're having over here is government, local and foreign nationals are all involved in a coordinated effort to destroy property, and y'all are sitting here with this social logic making the argument earlier. It's like, hey, we're going to sit here and go, hey,
we haven't substantiated that.
This well, he said this part earlier. He said these people morally feel justified in doing so, but whenever it's on the other foot, suddenly, oh, we don't believe in states' rights.
I said rights.
It's moral hypocrisy.
So if I think the conversation that you were referring to previously was the whole thing where Texas was putting up the containers, right? The shipping containers, and then whereas like they put in the water the buoys with like the razor blades in between them.
Part of it. That was one time.
Yeah.
The buoys and the razor blades. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
In the water.
It's different from destroying somebody's business.
Or whatever, right?
Yes.
People were trying
I agree. One's way worse.
Like they were slicing themselves on there, right? And so specifically with
Wait, hold on. One of those is a passive action. So someone has to swim and slice over themselves to like do something illegal, right? Versus, which is just a wall. It's a buoy with razor blades. So I would actually have to actively swim and do that.
Listen, man, if protesters were walking around with chainsaws, I'd have a problem with it, okay?
Versus I own a business and a protester destroys it, and you're justifying that.
The cops have to run to the chainsaw, right?
I think
you're being silly, but like there's a real argument here.
Admiral, I think there's a much better example of the hypocrisy here, right? Like, obviously, I've given my argument in terms of public versus private, and federal agents versus civilians and property, right? But I just find it interesting that when January 6th happened, the left was all so happy for the rights of habeas corpus to be denied for many of the people that were arrested under J6. They were also happy that they were isolated from other members of the prison. They were all saying, throw the book at them for the insurrection. We've got to make sure that these violent insurrectionists go to jail for years and years and years. They were so happy.
Are those people here?
Non-shaman arrested.
Are they with us right now? Who are you talking to?
Prime guys,
are you going to use that example? That's why I didn't use that example.
Don't ever say that I was for suspending habeas corpus. I never said that. I have never said that. Never.
Well, you're right. I don't believe that you.
I picked the specific example. I did. That's why
I left. I didn't name you, but I started with. Were you for these people being jailed for a significant period of time? January 6th.
Initially, probably, yeah.
To be clear, specifically the violent ones, right? Who were destroying the Capitol. Not necessarily everybody, but the violent ones who were doing that particular group. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, but, of course. So you would by what metric?
Right.
by what metric do you believe the January 6th protesters that were violent towards public property and potentially police officers, by what metric do you think they belong in jail?
What metric? Because
why do they belong in jail?
And destroying, because of the being violent and destroying that property. Yeah.
And
okay,
violence
so
against
what level, right? So what level, like, what is the proper sentence for someone that attacked a police officer and injured a police officer at the January 6th incident? What do you think? What do you, in your opinion?
2 years.
How many years?
In my opinion, I don't know, 5 years.
2 years.
5 years. Okay, so would you agree that every violent protester that's fighting against ICE right now that injures a police officer or injures LAPD or injures an ICE agent?
Yeah, I would.
Also should be in jail for 5 years.
But that's my thing. You guys have never let me actually get my point out here.
No, I'm asking. I'm asking questions, and then you're giving answers. I'm not interrupting you right now. I'm asking. Do you think they should go to jail for at least 5 years?
Yeah. Like I said previously, right? I said like you can protest. Just peacefully protesting should be able to do that anytime, right? You can interfere. But then if that's the case, you should be prepared for any consequences. I never even said injure, but if you do injure, well, certainly you got to go to jail. Yeah.
Of course. So now absolutely. So you believe that violent protesters that injure police officers in protests should be jailed. Let's say 5 years is your standard, give or take. You know, obviously, some people like throwing a rock and it accidentally hits a cop's riot shield, and you're like, I got a sprained elbow. Not the same thing, right? But assuming that's what we're talking. Right. So then moving forward, do you believe that Trump, when he's in Trump's speech, was responsible in part of January 6th? Do you believe Trump holds culpability for January 6th occurring?
Thank you for trying to do my point from earlier. I appreciate that.
Is Trump responsible at all for January 6th?
No, I'm trying to formulate my answer here. I think so for two reasons, right? One, for the speech he gave beforehand, and two, because when he was specifically told, right, when his aides came and let him know what the situation is, like from the reports, he did not like act immediately, right? He just like let it simmer, like there was a danger, and then he just go ahead.
Okay, so he failed to act appropriately, and in your opinion, like I don't necessarily agree that that's exactly how it went down.
You don't have to agree,
but like let's just assume that those are the facts, right? Sure. Failure to act in the appropriate amount of time, and because of the speech at all. Do you think the speech has any influence on this as well?
Yeah, I said so as well.
Right. So in the speech where he condemns violence and says don't do violence, but also he's agitating and saying like they stole the election, etc. So by your own standards, you would absolutely say what punishment do you think, assuming he wasn't the current president of the United States, right? Let's assume someone else won the 2024 election, right? And let's assume he's not the current president, because I think that would obviously change how you view punishment of things. Let's assume he's just a civilian right now.
Sure.
Right? What punishment do you think would be befitting of that crime? For Donald Trump, what should happen?
So specific. So then we'd have to ignore the second part, being that like he didn't take an action, because obviously he's not.
No, I mean right now, right? Like no, he didn't take action. Is all baked in. But let's assume in 2024 now, right? He's no longer the president. He loses the election in 2024. He doesn't come back to be our current president. What do you think would be appropriate?
That he should be punished necessarily, because like so, this would be closer to stochastic terrorism in terms of that speech, and like I don't. Like we were talking about, was it last week?
Okay.
About like a range of responsibilities here. No, I was talking to someone else about that, but a range of responsibilities, like a spectrum, right? I don't know far enough in that spectrum that he should necessarily be punished for that.
So you think Donald Trump shouldn't be punished in any way, shape, or form for his actions on January 6th?
I mean, I think he should be condemned.
Socially, right? Socially, he's probably going to.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. If you like, that's fine, right? Like we can apply that logic to the current people that are saying no violence, and then like kind of doing things, and Karen Bassett is actively abetting or hampering in some way, doing a bad job and getting involved. If you want to take that logic, that's fine, so long as I have you on the record that you believe absolutely that Donald Trump should face no legal action whatsoever for January 6th. That you think he was morally bad in some ways, but he deserves no legal action for that.
Sure. I like I've said, I think I'm not taking a hard stance. I could be convinced otherwise, But like, as
don't weasel out now.
I'm not.
I get, our opinions can be changed by additional evidence. I get it.
Yeah. But to be clear, right? Like
But in this current moment, you are against legal action against Donald Trump, even if he wasn't the president.
Yeah. We have a spectrum of stochastic terrorism, right? Of encouraging violence. At some point, I think, I don't know where that line is. At some point, I think you may be crossover and you might have more legal responsibility for encouraging the crowd, like get that guy, but like, I don't think, as far as I can tell, that Trump crossed that line. I can be convinced otherwise, but as of now, yes, I don't believe that he should face legal consequences for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fine. I mean, we don't have to go into the next thing because you believe Donald Trump shouldn't be prosecuted, even if he wasn't president. I feel like that's fine.
Yeah. Karen, like, for if we
Bass treason
statements from Karen Bass or from Gavin Newsom, like encouraging violence or something like that, like encouraging law breaking. I could be convinced.
I think it's a similar situation, right? Where they're saying like, we condemn violence. Violence is bad, and then they're like, but I support the protesters fighting and their freedom of speech, and like they're egging on the protests in a way, while at the same time condemning violence and things.
Well,
is showing support to freedom of speech and protesting the same as like, hey, they stole the election.
There's one key part of that you're leaving out, Fabian. While they're also
when they're saying
simultaneously handicapping. Well, yeah, and handicapping the police force. Well, I was going to say that too, but also while they're simultaneously handicapping the first responders and their ability to respond correctly. Like, we've already seen this wholesale. That's an added layer. Trump didn't go in there and be like, hey, let's handicap local PD from like January 6th,
so
right?
He
didn't do these things. Karen's actively doing that.
Hold on. Listen. This has happened within the last. Hold on. This has happened within the last 2 fucking days. Okay, the media gets fucking everything wrong. Okay, like, I do not trust deeply knowing what Karen Bass did or didn't do, or whether or not and how she may or may not have hampered fucking the LAPD stuff. Like that is
her existing is hampering enough. That's the problem right now. She is proven to be beyond.
This is the problem. You're the exact same as the fucking left, man. It's like
no.
I don't like that is against the things that I don't like is fucking the bad guy.
Nah. See, difference is I'm holding her accountable for her ineptitude. Her ineptitude is actually treasonous. That's the big point here. Yeah, it rises to levels of treason.
You hear this, Lactoid?
I'm just holding her accountable.
Yeah. This is a new legal theory I've never heard before. Go ahead and explain, Gibbs. How does that work?
When you somehow listen, I gotta give her credit. She bamboozled the people
so much.
Hold on. I gotta give her credit. She bamboozled her voters into thinking she was an intelligent enough individual to be able to be put in place for this job. And her ineptitude is so criminally bad. She ended up burning half of the city, burned down on her watch because of her DEI hiring practices. I mean, she literally has a commercial where she has the firefighter woman say, "If your man is too big and he's gonna fire, maybe he shouldn't be in that situation." Outrageous.
And that's treason.
Hold on. Then she depletes the water.
She depletes was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Doesn't matter. You know what I'm talking about. She depletes the water so they can't save it. It's just massive fires all over. Then she turns around and is hampering the police responses while simultaneously encouraging the protesters in conjunction with a foreign national president who said the same level of incitement that Trump did on January 6th. It is clear treason, and we should try her for it to the fullest degree.
All right, so okay,
America would be better.
Oh yeah, sure. Before we end here, because I think we're running down, but like I think we're coming to a consensus here, right? This is slightly, well, it's a different thing, but I wanted to ask Lactoid this, friend, about Obega Garcia, right? He's been brought back.
Bringing him back,
country, right? I have lots of things to say about that. I'm going to refrain from saying it now. We'll say it some other time. But I do have a question for you, friend. About the charges. The charges against some according to our Attorney General, smuggling. He was human trafficking people. I think she specifically used the word smuggling, but my understanding from her description, maybe I'm wrong, right? So I'm asking you, right? Is that she's saying that he was part of as was described even by the owner of this alleged business, a taxi service in which he would take people from job site to job site. At least that's what he described it as, but maybe not. Maybe he was doing something else with them. But he was moving them across the country, right? And then they're being charged with this. Friend, please explain to me, how is that illegal, right? Taking undocumented immigrants, right, and moving them from point A to point B, even across state lines. Because, because I saw the Texas governor send individuals, right, send busloads of undocumented immigrants to New York and other places, other sanctuary cities. So, like, if you could explain that to me, it would be really helpful.
Yeah, so he was returned to the U.S., which I'm glad Trump did. I didn't like the fact that he wasn't doing that. I don't think the Supreme Court did order or could order him to negotiate with El Salvador to forcibly force him to bring them back. But I'm glad that he chose to do so. And when I saw the trafficking chart, or people were saying it was trafficking for a while, I obviously thought what we all think when it comes to that. That's not what the allegations are. The allegations is human smuggling, specifically moving illegal immigrants my understanding is who consented to being moved. Mm-hmm. So assuming that he's not actually like trafficking people, I think this is like much less bad than trafficking people. If he's just human smuggling, right? Moving people around the country. In terms of, is that a crime? No. Apparently it's a crime. Apparently there is a difference between a state who's moving illegal immigrants who are taken into custody and designated in a specific area as to where they have to go, as opposed to, I guess, what Kilmar was doing was aiding them in avoiding enforcement, aiding them by essentially moving them around, evading ICE.
But Greyhound, then why doesn't Greyhound shut down? Because undocumented immigrants use Greyhound all the goddamn time to get across state lines. Like, I'm
assuming that if you could show that Greyhound
that
intentionally
moved, Greyhound sucks so fucking bad.
Well, Greyhound doesn't check IDs, right? Like Greyhound doesn't do any of that. They just, you got a ticket.
I think there's a difference.
Actually, we looked this up. We looked this up the other week, I think, on here, Prime, and it was 50-50. It depends on the franchise owner of Greyhound if they check IDs or not.
Oh, okay. Well, I've never.
I also think
we Googled that. I feel like we Googled that.
There's going to be a difference too. There's going to be a difference too between like a don't ask, don't tell kind of like mindset, or like, hey, we're just drive whoever, we don't check IDs, as opposed to I think what they're alleging that Kilmar did here, which is like that they are. Here's a very similar example. Okay.
Yeah.
It is a crime to knowingly hide a criminal in your house. So if you know this guy has committed a crime and you let them into your house, and you hide them, you give them place, you give them solace. Sure. This is a crime. But if you just let somebody in your house and it turns out they're a criminal, then you're not in trouble.
Okay, all right. But if a person has broken immigration, like has come into the country illegally, they're not a criminal, right? It's still
a crime though. It's still a crime.
Yeah, it's still a crime. Illegally.
But yeah, so what I'm asking you here is that no, they're not criminals. They're not criminals. They just did a violation, not criminals. But if a person, like, let's say you're related.
Oh fuck! Promcast just became a libertarian, chat. Like, he doesn't actually care whether or not someone broke the laws of the nation. He only cares about whether or not they're aggressive.
No. I'm just saying, I'm just saying categorically, right? That's all. I'm making a descriptive statement here. But
yeah, libertarianism, descriptive, natural law philosophy.
Okay,
it doesn't matter whether or not they broke a law.
Oh my god!
It matters whether or not they aggressed or harmed another person. I love
it. First of all, I'm always been more of a social libertarian. You know that, right?
Yeah.
You already know that. You know that about me.
Sure.
Now we do.
Now we know. Chipping away, chat.
No, wait, hold on, guys, come on. You know that, right? Like, I've talked about, like, hey, like, I'm against drug law enforcement, and then you should be able to sleep before you want to between two consenting adults, whatever that arrangement looks like.
Oh yeah, those are moral opinions, right? But like, now you're saying they're not a criminal, even though they've broken laws because of a natural law philosophy.
No, I'm talking about civil.
I appreciate it.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. I'm not gonna let Scott bait me. Sorry. On. Sorry.
Hook, line, and sinker, my friend.
If you are related to an undocumented immigrant, you happen to know they're undocumented. If you take them from their house to their job, right? Are you smuggling now? Is that human smuggling?
Maybe
Yeah,
that
so
could be argued.
so that's why I'm saying this is complete bullshit.
I think in this specific case, like what there's a little bit more like egregious facts, like legally egregious, that would, I guess, make it easier to prosecute. So like I'm looking right here. Apparently, he specifically would pick up undocumented aliens after they cross the border, which does make them criminals. You're not necessarily a criminal if you overstay your visa. That's normally like a civil offense. But if you cross the border illegally, you are immediately a criminal, right? That is a crime. So he would go pick up people who just jumped the border, so he knew they were criminals, and then transport them. So that's what they, yeah.
So he was like the American end of the Coyotes, is what you're
sort of is what it's looking like. I mean, that's what the allegations are, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If that's what you're telling me, then I'll leave it there.
That's what NBC News says. So.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're a liar or anything. I'm just saying that like I've been trying to understand like what this is, because undocumented immigrants get transferred all the time, every day.
Yeah, so, like Uber wouldn't. Yeah, but
okay.
Lactoid, are you
Is it racist to say illegal immigrant alien? Is that racist now? I want to hear that. I want to hear somebody answer that question. That was a good one that's been posed me this week.
I mean, no person is illegal, right? That's the whole argument.
Well, hold on.
I'm just saying. Hey, I see the side.
Well,
I just want to ask Lactoid a question real quick.
Well, yeah, I got one more question here. I want you to answer here. It's real fast.
I'll answer it quickly. It's
so dehumanizing. All right. So, are we now saying that people can tell people of other ethnicities that saying certain things are now internalized racism? Is that where we're at? Like, if I was,
what internalized racism like?
Hold on. So if I say illegal alien, that's racist. Would that be like? I feel like that's almost getting to the point where if like someone says the N word, okay, dehumanizing. That's fair. But like, is it arguably not the same as saying like tell a black person they couldn't say the N word because it's dehumanizing? Is that almost a similar concept here?
There's actually black people tell black people don't use the N word because it's dehumanizing. That's a big thing within the community.
So you say they're equivalent? You think?
I don't. Maybe.
You're dehumanizing people if they believe that the N word it'd be the same thing. In that context.
I don't know. My thing is, I don't know how other people look at, like, I know how people especially with the black community feel about the N word.
What are the two terms?
About that.
But what are the two terms in question?
Illegal immigrant and then N word.
Well, the reason I'm asking is
illegal immigrant versus
the N word.
The N word.
I'm Latino, and I got told it was I got told it was racist to say to call people an illegal immigrant, and I'm like,
internalized racism.
And then what do they want you to say?
Racist. They want me to say undocumented migrant.
Okay, so say illegal immigrant.
Illegal immigrant.
Now say undocumented migrant.
Yeah, undocumented migrant.
Okay, now next time they say that, just say that you're being fat phobic because the other word is harder for me to pronounce because I've got a lot of fat.
That's a good one.
This is actually bigotry against.
Oh my god!
That's funny, and I give you that.
Cisgender is a hard word for people to say.
I almost think this is like it seems like who are deciding what are these words and what's offensive, because it's kind of like that Latinx thing. I feel like Latinos are being screwed here with this shit because it's like, oh, we have these uppity elitists telling, oh, Latinx, that's racist. Oh, Latinx, you are Latino, you're but if you're a Latin guy, you can't say fucking illegal alien. That's internalized racism. Like, it's just like, when do we stop with these people telling us what's what?
I don't know. We weren't the ones who made that argument, to be clear. All right, let's.
I know. That's what I was asking y'all.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Actually, we can just move it on to closing, and I can just ask Lactoid after.
Okay. Well, then we'll do that.
Ask me now, coward.
I was going to ask you, where are you on your I regret using my vote for Trump instead of my libertarian principles? Like, where are you on your regret for the Trump vote?
Kilmore's back, so we're all good.
We're at 100% okay with your vote? Like,
we failed the meter just for that.
I feel like every 3 to 6 months you should be asked like if you regret your vote or not.
I've asked him this before too, and he was very reticent. He put up a big fight with me, right? He was offended by that question, but well, don't worry.
Well, I had contention with him before. I hope he remembers. I had contention with him before. I said I don't think that his vote for Trump is principled, right? I think he should use it for his libertarian I don't think it's good for his principles, and I do want to see like if the further we get, if I was correct in that.
I have something else I want to specifically
voted for John Galt. Just to remind everybody
that I want to ask him about this. I wanted to ask him about this today, but like we ran out of time. But I have it written down. Hopefully, we can get it to him next time. But anyway, hey everyone, thanks for coming through. Hey, if you appreciate, oh wait a minute, hold on. God, what's this happen? Sorry. Well, he can't hear me now, but Sean, thank you for the gifted membership on YouTube. Like I've been having it like last time I had a interruption in my internet connection, like, and that might be when I was having trouble with grid, maybe, I don't know.
You're offline on Twitch.
Really? Okay. No, it says that I'm not.
It says you've been online for 5.5 minutes. I just checked.
Fuck. So it must have just happened. Okay, whatever. It is what it is. And I don't know what's going on with my connection here. So if you're gonna listen to me, like, hit me over YouTube, Super Chat, or anything. Support the channel. Subscribe. Keep us up and running. We need your help. But I doubt anyone's listening to me now because of this interruption. It's really
you're back.
Annoying.
You're back. Someone said, "Did Trump deport his ISP?"
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's like 3 weeks.
Comment.
This is like the third time, right? Remember it happened? Yeah, it's like the third time. Sorry. Okay.
Just blame. You're a good leftist. Just blame global warming and the heat wave for.
There you go. Global warming. Okay. It's all about the global warming.
I'll just let you guys do your closing statements and be done with this. Lactoid, thank you for being here. It was a great conversation, and like I kind of sprung some things on you, like that pasta commentaries thing. But if you could look into that, later on your own time, of course, when you have something time available, I'd be curious. Am I missing something, or maybe I don't know. But thank you, Lactoid.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. If you like what I had to say, you could find me at Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Last thing I'm going to say is when I watched the first conversation, that clip from Girls, when you saw, I was looking at the comments, and the comments on X were pretty righteous and in line with my personal philosophy, right? But don't go look at the comments on Reddit. It will make you lose faith in humanity. And I read the comments on Reddit, and I realized that I think maybe like living in a country with people with a different cultural standard than you could be impossible.
What are you going to do about that? I mean, you seem to be
I don't know. I honestly, I know. Here's what I think that what a lot of like the right now is doing is they're identifying that, and they're just identifying that in immigrants. They just don't like I mean, right now, for example, what you're seeing, I think Charlie Kirk and somebody and maybe Stephen Miller. I wouldn't surprise me if Stephen Miller said this, but saying that like they were now calling for a complete moratorium of all immigration from any third world country, and their definition here would include all of Latin America. And this is like relatively mainstream conservative voices. I think what they're doing is they're identifying, I guess, what I would disagree with, because I don't think I don't think Mexican culture is a problem. Okay. I think they would probably agree with me on the whole abortion thing, considering their religious proclivities. But I think we can't deport the feminists, but I don't know how to fix the problem because this is pretty fucked up. Anyway.
Okay. You should now I'm actually curious as to what the Reddit thing. If you could send me a link to that. I'd be curious as to what they have to say there. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still all over the place on that one. I think it's a nuanced discussion. But thank you so much, Lactoid. On to our friend Scott. Thanks. It was a great conversation, I think, overall.
Yeah, well, just spitballing with Lactoid. I agree, right? I absolutely agree with you, Lactoid, and that's why you need to actually embrace libertarianism, full throated. Right? Stop this pussyfooting minarchist shit. Okay, there's no reason for a nation of 330 million plus people to try and coexist like we all have the same fucking values. We're from different places. We have different religions. We have different values.
There
and
is a bumper
philosophies.
sticker that says otherwise, Scott. All right.
Right, or else. Yeah. So yeah, no, just embrace, and that's the solution to this immigration problem as well, right? Get rid of the Civil Rights Act, get rid of the state's rights, get rid of all of these things in the state, and then we can finally have covenant communities where you can live with people that share your values, etc. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the first topic, that was fun. You know what I mean? I'm an evictionist. I think everybody is evil, and in these conversations, except for maybe Adam Driver there, and because he's acting role, I don't know. What I'll say is this: there's a difference between what is morally justified, and there's a difference between what is morally right, right? What is ethically justified, I should say, to be more specific, right? And ethically justified is all violence against all state agents, to include LAPD, ICE, all public property.
This is that full-throated libertarianism, by the way.
Of that nature, as well as all women who have had abortions, right? All violence is justified against any woman that's had an abortion. She's a murderer, so she can't argue against rape, murder, or anything like that. Now, what is morally right is none of those things. What is morally right is to engage in your own rational self-interest. And so you're winning nobody over by, attacking random women that had abortions or, killing cops. It's just not going to work out in your favor. Many of these protests I think, you're not winning over any favors. And so, as much as it sucks, vote harder kind of thing, move to New Hampshire, maybe move to Prospera, separate in a lot of these things and keep fighting to hold Republicans to the standards they pretend that they have, right? Because Republicans, Trump and people like that, they don't believe in individual rights. They don't believe in private property. They don't believe in the non-aggression principle. They only believe in might makes right, just like the leftists. They pretend to be somewhat more consistent, but they aren't. And that's a big problem with what's occurring with these ICE raids. And you can't really call out the hypocrisy of all these lefties that pretend like they actually give a fuck about mass deportations when at the end of the day, they're just picking up their brick TM from an NGO funded by some fucking leftist billionaire shoved through a bunch of different other, things because the phrase of the day is no human is illegal. And, maybe we'll get back to free Palestine. Who knows? It's just kind of, put a black flag back on your Instagram filter. Who fucking cares? None of these people have any actual values except libertarians. And if you want to learn more about libertarianism, if you want to actually be principled, if you want to actually be a good person, if you want to actually learn philosophy, come check me out at Fabian Liberty on all the links.
Okay.
Yes, if you need a new religion,
experience. Let's go to our friend Corey, please.
Well, Lactoid mentioned, his experience watching the clip on X and all the comments agreeing with him, and then watching the clip on Reddit and all the comments not agreeing with him. And that's not surprising to me. I haven't looked into the exact demographics of people on X, but from what my impression that I get is largely right-leaning these days. But what I do know I'm more confident of is last I checked, I could be wrong, but generally Reddit skews largely more educated and higher income.
Very left.
Yeah, and so no surprise that they agree with me and my correct position. You're not entitled to that information unless you actually have that conversation and you actually behave like an adult and actually establish things. And I don't know if you watched, I think Wick's conversation with, I think her name was like Diane Yap, who is like a noted person on Twitter. And they have the exact same position as me. Which again, from what I understand, they're also educated as well. And I would say if you're upset by that clip, like someone like Lactoid, you probably just have a fragile male ego. And maybe some anger issues if you get to that level of anger as well. And you might want to learn to maybe manage your emotions. But yes, as usual, this is always great. You can find me on Twitch, Corey Campbell 84, Twitter, X, YouTube, Instagram. It's Corey Campbell. Gibbs, Ali, Grid, Scott, Lactoid, always a pleasure. Love you, Prime.
I just want to say that my friend Lactoid would not harm a fly, right? He's not a violent individual. Pay no attention to the many, many weapons he has in his house. That's just a coincidence. But in terms of towards women, unless I see evidence otherwise, I'd say he wouldn't take any actions there. But shout out to my friend Lactoid. Let's go to our friend Grid. Thanks for being here as well.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure to be here. Yeah, you can find me at an Unreasonable Man on YouTube. I had a great time tonight. As always, I represent the angry gun-toting, meat-eating fucking people, and I'm proud of it. And the rest of you soy boys can just kind of suck it and enjoy crying and ruminating in your rooms in the dark, knowing that you were wrong about Jan 6, and now because all of this has come home to roost you're crying about the ICE, the poor ICE agents. So suck it and move on with life. And again, enjoy a nice rare steak and live long and prosper.
Indeed. Thank you. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. Let's go to our friend Ali, who's just struggling here right now. I see. Ali, how are you?
I'm just glad that on this panel we found out that it takes longer to become a dog groomer than it does become an ICE agent. So, the great ICE agent. Anyways, to Scott's point, we didn't talk about Palestine enough, so I'm gonna just end off with Free Palestine, River to the Sea. Thank you so much, Scott, for reminding us. Free Palestine, River to the Sea. Thank you, Prime.
Free Palestine, absolutely, every time, every day. Gibbs, thank you as well for coming. I thought we had a pretty good conversation, except for that one point. Jesus. But other than that, I'm really happy you're here, Gibbs.
I'm glad to be back. I heard last week was exciting. If you want to see what Palestine looks like, just go downtown LA right now. It's a pretty much the same place. So I mean, we're really gonna get down to it. Whatever. Let's go ahead and start the proportions here in LA and get it over with. Whatever. Anyway, I'm Admiral Gibbs. You can find me as Admiral Gibbs. We got a lot of good fun stuff coming up this week. I'm excited.
Okay.
Viva la California,
Yeah. Oh my God, just got to deal with that. All right, so
we'd say from the river to the sea in California, but they gave up all their fucking water.
Well, I mean, it's about to fall over the sea already. I know, right?
They had to steal the river first.
I'll stick around. I'm going to raid out, but I'll.
So Grid One Motorsports is a company that I had, and a race team. Actually, I spent my whole career in racing, and so when I actually started being active on YouTube, that channel was dead. I wasn't doing anything with it, and so that's the one I was using when I would sign in and donate to channels and things like that. And when I started this channel, I kind of wanted to divorce it from the idea of the racing, and I put an Unreasonable Man as the channel, and then hosted by Grid One. So yeah, it's a long story to say that I fucked up. Basically, it's all right. It's all good. So hey, you guys have been cool. I'm gonna get out of here. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I'm going to take off, guys. I'm getting up early to go fishing in the morning. So, yeah. See you guys. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there we go. We're clear. They're having fun. Yeah, I did. I threw that grenade and fucking like whatever. That was fun. Yeah, it was interesting. Prime's interesting, man. He's just so bad. So, it is what it is. It was a shitty topic, and I don't know. I mean, I made my statement, and then it's like nobody was kind of going back and forth or anything. It was just a bunch of like testifying and shit. And I was like, this sucks, man. This is terrible. So, I mean, I guess it is what it is. But hey, for the 7 of you that hung around for this whole monstrosity, really appreciate it. I'll see you guys on Wednesday night, and we'll do some cool stuff. We're gonna have hopefully we'll have a good guest, and we'll talk some shit and get into stuff. But yeah, that's a good point, Spaceman. He does. Well, because Scott won't let him overtalk him, and I sometimes will overtalk him and I get away with it, but usually, unless it's like, the problem is that the topics have sucked recently and they're just not that good. And so there's no point in getting into a shouting match or anything like that. This was just a lame duck. Like, who the fuck cares what California wants? The president has the ability and the legal authority to do what he's doing. You can argue that till the cows come home, but it doesn't change anything. So yeah, it is what it is. So, but yeah, I really appreciate you 7 souls for sticking with me through this. This was, obviously it's man, it's tough. It's really, really tough with the with this with Prime's deal. But you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes we'll have a great debate. And sometimes we just have this is just shit. And you just don't know. And he writes these like fucking soliloquies. But he writes these damn soliloquies that for whatever damn reason. I thought Tomato was on. Did she already quit? Let me see. Damn, it'd be hilarious if I went longer than the Tomato. Looks like I did. I wonder what happened there. What the hell is going on here? All right, yeah, the gauntlet. She went to the gauntlet. I don't have the gauntlet. Let's see. See what's up with the gauntlet. So is this cleaner versus? What's up? Anson's live, Gauntlet link. Yeah, I'm on there right now. All right. Hey, guys, I'm out of here, man. You guys have a great night. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for hanging out throughout that painful ass bullshit topic. See you guys Wednesday night. We're gonna have a great show, great topics coming forward, and then Thursday we have a real debate going on. So that'll be cool. At any rate, you guys are tops. There's only 8 of you. There's no point in rating. Go over, hang out with Sarah. Go over and hang out with Anson, and have a great rest of your night. Enjoy what's going on out there. And as always, be cool. Wear glasses if you need them. And